Arthur sits bored in his office as Roy introduces Mari to him, the newest robot maid. Curious about the invention, he decides to take a closer look. He praises the creator, clearly impressed with the model, but insists he still needs to examine the robot thoroughly. As he approaches her, the clock in the room suddenly explodes, filling the office with smoke. People scramble to find a fire extinguisher, but Arthur's eyes remain fixed on the robot. He notices that Mari doesn't flinch at the explosion. He concludes that she really is mechanical and not a human pretending to be a machine. Spotting one of the maids nearby, he accuses her of being responsible for the exploding clock. His men immediately apprehend her and drag her away from the manor. Arthur then tells his men that there's someone watching from a nearby rooftop and orders them to eliminate the spy and remove the wiretap hidden on his desk. As he observes his subordinates deal with the assassin from afar, he can't help but think about how much he despises humans. Roy enters, carrying gifts and a bouquet, but freezes when a knife suddenly pops out of the flowers. Arthur doesn't seem surprised. He remarks that humans are selfish beings who will discard their morals just to get ahead in life, which is why he wanted a robot companion he could trust. Arthur's life hasn't been easy. Since childhood, his relatives have always been after his fortune, sending assassins and setting traps to eliminate him. Unable to trust even his own family, Arthur grew to despise people. He declares that the kind of people he hates the most are those who lie to him. Mari, the robot maid, listens silently. In truth, she's a martial artist known for her stoic and expressionless demeanor in battle. She's actually a human pretending to be a robot. Inside, Mari panics. She had no idea she was supposed to keep her human identity a secret, especially from a man who has such a deep hatred for humans. Arthur steps closer and Mari's anxiety spikes, thinking her cover has been blown. However, Arthur suddenly blushes and begins to gush over her. Feeling uncomfortable with their closeness, Mari quickly announces that she'll begin cleaning his room. He gently takes her hand and asks if he can call her Mari. She hesitantly agrees, confused by his sudden change in demeanor. In the break room, Roy reminds Mari of her duties as a robot maid and informs her that she'll be attending school with Arthur to protect him. He turns to check if Mari is listening, only to find her stuffing her face with food. Mari explains that she can only eat when Arthur is bathing. Deciding that Arthur must be done, she rushes out, making sure to finish Roy's share of food as well. While running, she adds that he should prepare her next meal with more protein. Roy watches her go, slightly worried that Mari's act might fail and that they'll both end up dead for lying to Arthur. The next morning, Arthur scolds one of his butlers for oversleeping. Mari can't help but think that he's strict and intimidating, yet everything he says makes sense. As they settle into the car, Arthur briefs her on their schedule. While listening, Mari realizes that Arthur's days are always packed either with studying or managing the company. He starts complaining about one of his business partners who lacks table manners. Mari silently confirms that Arthur is a harsh and terrifying individual, but she can't deny that he becomes surprisingly gentle when it comes to her. Arthur suddenly takes her hand and leans closer, telling Mari that he's learned her orders are to follow him around school and pretend to be human. He adds that if she ever finds herself in trouble, she can always come to him. When they finally arrive at school, Mari hides her excitement at being in such a grand academy. She studies the trophies and plaques on display and notices that almost all of them belong to Arthur. As she admires his achievements, two male students bump into her and scold her for blocking the hallway. In a robotic tone, she apologizes, which only offends them further since her voice sounds too cold and insincere. The boys find her strange and unsettling, but Mari isn't pretending. That's simply how she's always spoken. Even her mother could never understand why Mari's tone remains so distant, no matter what she did. Arthur suddenly appears behind her and sharply scolds the boys for harassing his maid. After they leave, Mari thanks him, and Arthur gently pats her head, saying he finds her expressionless voice and demeanor very cute. Arthur signals that it's time to leave, and Mari can't help but blush slightly since it's the first time she's received such a kind compliment. When they return home, they settle in Arthur's office, where a young man enters and greets Arthur with casual familiarity. Roy quietly whispers to Mari that the man is Maynard, Arthur's brother in name. Mari wonders if Maynard is also after Arthur's life and watches the two closely. The brothers exchange polite words of praise, but inwardly they're cursing each other. Despite their smiling faces and kind tone, both understand the venom behind the other's words. Roy seems to catch on to their unspoken hostility, but Mari, oblivious to the tension, assumes the two are simply close siblings who get along well. Maynard excuses himself to use the bathroom. Once in the hallway, he mutters curses under his breath, frustrated that Arthur is still alive. He freezes, however, when Mari suddenly appears behind him, pointing toward the restroom. Startled, Maynard scolds her sharply. When Mari apologizes, he doesn't believe her since her face shows no remorse. Mari explains that she's a robot and incapable of showing emotion. Intrigued, Maynard inspects her closely and notes that she truly doesn't flinch or react. Impressed, he remarks that Arthur has done well to acquire such a realistic robot, but questions his brother's tastes since Mari can't even smile. Mari insists that she can smile and immediately pulls the corners of her mouth with her fingers to form a wide grin. The result is so horrifying that Maynard runs away. Later that evening, Arthur sits in his office, gazing thoughtfully at the fountain outside. His mind drifts back to the day he decided to become the heir to the family business. His thoughts are interrupted when Mari enters, softly offering him a cup of tea. Noticing his distant expression, she assumes she's disturbed him at a bad time, but to her surprise, Arthur shyly asks if he can rest his head on her lap. She hesitates for a moment before allowing it. Arthur quickly settles in, remarking that her lap is hard due to her metal body. In truth, it's due to Mari's toned muscles. Getting comfortable, Arthur admits how lonely he feels, unable to trust anyone. Still, he's accepted this life, believing it's the price of being his father's valuable heir. Moved by his words, Mari softly promises that she'll always stay by his side and that he can trust her. Touched, Arthur allows himself to relax and drifts to sleep on her lap. Mari realizes she has a deep desire to protect Arthur and feels terrible that she must lie to him in order to do so. Later that morning, Arthur, Roy, and Mari wait by the driveway for the car that will take Arthur to his lectures. When it arrives, Roy notices that it's earlier than usual. He and Mari bid Arthur farewell as he gets in and drives off. A few moments later, another car pulls up in front of them. Realizing that the first car was a fake, Roy tells Mari to call the police, but when he looks beside him, she's already gone. Alarmed, Mari has taken off, sprinting down the road after the vehicle. Inside the car, Maynard climbs in and sees Arthur tied up. He smugly tells Arthur that the kidnapping was his idea, all because he found Mari irritating. He jokes that Arthur should hire a better maid next time, then laughs, saying there won't be a next time since Arthur will die today. Arthur feels annoyed since it's already the 168th time Maynard has sworn to kill him. Suddenly, a loud thud shakes the car. Everyone looks up to see Mari clinging to the windshield, announcing that she's arrived to pick up Arthur. Panic erupts inside as Maynard tries to calm his driver, insisting that Mari is just a robot and they shouldn't hesitate to shake her off. But she lands gracefully on her feet and resumes the chase, running at full speed. The car eventually stops at an abandoned house where Arthur is taken in. Maynard mocks him, asking if he has any last words before he dies, promising to take over the family business once Arthur is gone. Arthur, however, remains furious about how roughly Maynard treated Mari. Maynard laughs, mocking him for caring more about a robot than his own life. He sneers that Mari is probably broken. Arthur glares at him, vowing never to forgive him for what he's done to her. Maynard only mocks him further until he hears his own voice confessing to the crime. He turns to see Arthur smirking. One of Arthur's buttons is in fact a hidden spy camera. Arthur calmly explains that everything has been recorded and automatically uploaded to the cloud. It's only a matter of time before someone finds the video and the whole world learns exactly what Maynard has done. Maynard pales as the realization hits him that if he stays, it will solidify his involvement. So he speeds off, leaving two of his men behind to finish the job. The men hesitate at first, but then decide they have no choice since Arthur had already seen their faces. As Arthur braces himself for the inevitable, Mari bursts in, and in a swift blur of movement, she starts attacking the two grunts. The men flee in terror, leaving Arthur tied to a chair. Mari quickly unties him so they can get out. Neither of them notices the spilled gasoline and the lit cigarette smoldering nearby. Within seconds, the flames catch and spread rapidly. The building is suddenly engulfed in fire. Mari reacts instantly, realizing their escape route is blocked. She instructs Arthur to cover his mouth with his handkerchief to avoid inhaling too much smoke. Spotting a window, she tells him to use it as an exit, promising to lift him up. Arthur refuses at first, unwilling to leave her behind. But Mari insists, assuring him that she'll be fine and will find another way out once he's safe. A nearby explosion shakes the structure, making it difficult for them to see and breathe. Mari silently vows to make sure Arthur survives, even if it costs her life. Knowing he won't abandon her willingly, she decides to say what she's been holding back. She tells Arthur that she's truly enjoyed her time with him and that to her, he's someone very special. She lies that he shouldn't worry about her since her body is made of metal and can withstand the flames. She urges him to escape and find her later, saying she can simply be rebooted once she's recovered. Reluctantly, Arthur agrees and climbs out through the window. Once outside, he yells that he'll come back for her. Inside, Mari finally succumbs to the smoke, collapsing to the floor. As her consciousness fades, she feels guilty for lying to him, but grateful she was able to protect him until the end. When she opens her eyes again, she's shocked to find herself lying on a bed. Arthur sits beside her, explaining that he called Roy immediately and managed to save her in time, so there's no need for a reboot. Mari feels immense relief, though her face remains emotionless. Arthur studies her, tempted to ask about the smile she showed him at the building. He decides not to, much to Roy's quiet relief. Convincing himself that the smile was just a smoke-induced hallucination, Arthur accepts it. He tells himself that falling for Mari is pointless since she's a robot, and even if she weren't, someone like her would never love someone like him. On the day of the party, all the servants are busy making the final preparations. Arthur ends up scolding the servant in charge after discovering that several things are still unfinished, even though the servant had claimed everything was ready. Due to his strong dislike for liars, Arthur fires the man on the spot. Mari immediately fetches the missing chairs, earning praise from Arthur. In just a few moments, guests begin arriving at the garden where the party is being held. Mari looks around and realizes that everyone present is a well-known figure. Arthur tells her that this event is crucial, and he cannot afford any mistakes as his father's heir. Understanding the weight of his words, Mari promises to watch for any suspicious individuals who might try to ruin the evening. Arthur agrees but says he has an even more important task for her. Leaning in to whisper, he instructs her to get rid of all the bell peppers because he dislikes them. Mari agrees, determined to do it discreetly. Just then, Arthur's Aunt Charlotte calls out to him. Arthur greets his aunt and uncle with a bright smile. Mari watches curiously since she had assumed all of Arthur's relatives wanted him dead, yet Carl and Charlotte seem genuinely happy to see him. Roy quietly tells Mari that those two are the only family members who fully support Arthur. Charlotte comments that Arthur seems happier than usual and asks if something has happened. Proudly, Arthur declares that his company has made a breakthrough. They've finally created the perfect robot maid. He gestures toward Mari, showing her off. Charlotte is instantly captivated and steps closer to inspect her. The closer she looks, the more human Mari appears. Under Charlotte's sharp gaze, Mari starts to panic, feeling her cover might be blown. Acting quickly, Roy pulls her away under the pretense of assigning her more chores. Mari begins balancing several plates and carts away a tall tower of glasses, impressing the guests with her skill. As she works, Charlotte's cat suddenly darts toward the cart. Mari reacts swiftly, catching the cat midair and steadying the glasses before they topple. Carl praises Mari's remarkable balance, and Roy explains that she's equipped with an advanced shock absorber. The party continues smoothly. Mari quietly fulfills Arthur's strange request, removing the bell peppers by secretly eating them before the plates reach the tables. Unfortunately, she drops one without noticing. The cat spots the fallen bell pepper and begins to play with it. At one side of the garden, an intruder manages to slip past security, but before he can take another step, Mari swiftly knocks him unconscious. To be safe, she decides to patrol the rest of the estate for more suspicious individuals. As she searches, she suddenly senses someone directly behind her. Reacting on instinct, she grabs the person and throws him over her shoulder, only to discover that it's Arthur. She helps him and escorts him back to his office, where he rests his head on her lap. Arthur admits he only wanted to escape the crowd for a moment, exhausted from entertaining guests. As he relaxes, Mari gently pats his head, but she freezes when Arthur suddenly grabs her hand, pulls himself upright, and draws her close to thank her sincerely. Startled, Mari abruptly steps back. She announces that since he's recovered, she should return to her duties. Arthur watches her retreat with quiet disappointment. Neither of them notices that Charlotte has seen the entire exchange and her growing suspicion that Mari might not be a robot. Back in the garden, Mari struggles to calm her racing heartbeat, confused by her own reactions. Roy instructs her to serve water to the guests, but she accidentally drops and shatters a glass. When preparing another, she spills an entire pitcher on Roy. Sighing, Roy dismisses her for now, fearing she might blow their cover if she continues in this distracted state. Feeling guilty, Mari wanders to a secluded corner of the garden. Before turning the corner, she spots a man crouched down, fiddling with something. Realizing he's planting dynamite, Mari rushes forward, destroys the detonator, and kicks the man straight through the bushes. Unfortunately, she forgets that the party is being held on the other side of those same bushes. The guests gasp as Mari suddenly bursts through, knocking out a stranger in full view. Panic spreads until Arthur quickly steps out and announces that the man was not a guest but an intruder who was planning on detonating a bomb. He proudly declares that Mari had saved everyone. The guests erupt into applause, impressed by her quick thinking and bravery. Carl notes how deeply Arthur trusts Mari, while Charlotte quietly observes that perhaps Mari is the one who will teach Arthur to trust people again. From the rooftop, Maynard watches the praise below and curses in anger. As he rants about his impending revenge, he loses his footing and falls. Later that evening, Arthur stands on his office balcony, gazing at the view below. Mari finally appears, wearing the elegant dress he had chosen for her since he had wanted to see Mari in something different from her maid's uniform. Smiling, Arthur takes her hand and invites her to enjoy the rest of the evening with him. Unsure of herself, Mari pulls her hand back and bows apologetically, murmuring that she's sorry for almost ruining the party. Arthur tells Mari that she's worked very hard all day and even got rid of all the bell peppers just for him. He smiles, admitting he's truly grateful. Mari stares at Arthur quietly. A strange warmth spreads through her chest, and for the first time she feels an overwhelming urge to serve him forever. Arthur, unaware of her thoughts, muses aloud that it must be nice to be a robot since there is no need to eat. Curious, Arthur asks how she recharges. Panicking, Mary blurts out that she runs on a double a battery. There's no way anyone would believe that. But to her surprise, Arthur takes her seriously and gazes at her for a long moment before softly saying that tonight, she looks more like an actual girl. Before Mari can respond, Arthur leans in and plants a gentle kiss on her forehead. She abruptly pushes him away and bolts toward the greenhouse. She worries Arthur might have figured out her secret, as she's human. Outside, Roy keeps his silence, his own expression clouded with concern. The next morning, Mary steels herself for another day of work. She worries about facing Arthur after last night, but convinces herself that he couldn't have seen her expression clearly in the dark. Entering the dining room, she decides to tell him that a malfunction caused her to push him. She wheels in a cart of food and begins her routine. Arthur greets her warmly as if nothing had happened. Mary wonders if he's forgotten. When she fails to greet him back, Arthur frowns and questions her silence. Struggling to think of a response, Mary freezes, prompting Roy to panic as he watches from the sidelines. A fly suddenly buzzes past them, and both Arthur and Mari reach to catch it at the same time. Their faces end up inches apart, causing Arthur to blush while Mari panics internally, wobbling stiffly away in an effort to seem robotic. She mutters that Arthur is acting strange today, but he only tells her to bring coffee to his study. When she does, he can't help but watch her intently. As the day goes on, Arthur treats her more gently, offering to carry things and even reaching for her hand. Mari decides she must act more robotic to avoid suspicion, but Arthur only gazes after her, puzzled by her strange mechanical walk. In the break room, Roy calls Mari over and informs her that she is relieved of her duties effective immediately. He explains that Arthur has been growing suspicious of her since the previous day, and it's only a matter of time before her secret is exposed. Mari freezes, unable to process his words. Roy reassures her that he'll still look after her, but insists she must find work elsewhere before Arthur uncovers the truth. Mari struggles with the idea of leaving. She's grown fond of Arthur. Desperate, she pleads with Roy, promising to do her best not to get found out. Roy tells her that Arthur likes her a lot. If he ever finds out she's human, it will break him. He reminds her how much Arthur hates being lied to and reasons that lying to him must be hurting her as well. Mari realizes she is unable to argue. Roy continues, telling her that he's already arranged for her replacement with an actual robot maid. Moments later, Mari 2, the new model, rolls through the halls with mechanical precision until it reaches Arthur's study. Upon entering, it introduces itself as a more advanced version of Mari and immediately demonstrates its abilities by swiftly catching and disposing of a fly. Arthur stares at it in disbelief until Roy steps in beside the machine and explains that with Mari 2's enhanced combat and efficiency systems, she is the perfect maid to serve him. Meanwhile, the real Mari quietly packs what little she owns as Arthur tries out Mari 2's lap pillow function, complete with background music. At the gates, Roy urges Mari to leave quickly before Arthur notices. She promises to wash and return her uniform despite his insistence that she keep it. To her, the uniform is a symbol of everything she's about to lose, a reminder that she was never meant to stay by Arthur's side. Just as she's about to leave, Arthur appears, his expression a mix of confusion and anger. He demands to know what is happening and why she's being replaced all of a sudden. Mari uses her usual calm tone and explains that since there is a newer, better robot maid, it is time for her to step aside. But Arthur does not believe it. His frustration grows as he struggles to find the right words, trying to explain that he specifically wants her. Before anything else can be said, Mari 2 suddenly appears behind Arthur, its sensors locking onto Mari and identifying her as a threat. Mari tells Roy and Arthur to get away as the robot lunges forward. She manages to block the first strike but is quickly thrown backward by the sheer force. She quickly realizes Mari 2's strength far exceeds hers. As she braces for the final blow, Arthur dives in front of her, shielding her from the attack. Roy cries out in horror as Arthur is struck on the back. Overwhelmed by rage and desperation, Mari summons every ounce of strength left in her. With a fierce kick, she shatters Mari 2 clean in half, and the machine collapses to the ground. Arthur rushes over to Mari, his voice filled with concern as he tells her that he already knows everything. Roy stiffens in panic, fearing their secret is out. However, Arthur's understanding is far from the truth. He believes Mari had malfunctioned and that Roy prepared Mari 2 as her replacement. Arthur insists that he can pay for her maintenance costs, determined to keep her by his side. Mari quickly reassures him that there's no need, claiming she's already been fixed. Arthur smiles warmly, lifting her into his arms as he asks her to stay with him always. Mari quietly admits that she wants the same thing, and for a moment, the two are blissfully happy. Later in the kitchen, Roy thanks Mari for her efforts and for making Arthur finally smile again, something he hadn't done in a long time. Mari promises to continue working hard and to avoid any mistakes that might expose her identity. A fake mechanical sound echoes through the room. Mari turns to see Mari 2 entering the kitchen, gleaming and fully operational. The robot announces that it has been repaired and updated. Roy explains that he wants both Marys to work together to protect Arthur. Mari too politely expresses that it looks forward to working alongside her. Mari, however, can only stare silently at the real robot. One day, a group of men disguised as manor staff secretly discuss ways to assassinate Arthur. However, Mari and Mari too catch them. The men try to flee, but Mari too quickly deploys a net, trapping them. In another estate, Maynard curses in frustration as he realizes he's running out of hired assassins to use. Meanwhile, Arthur rests his head on Mari's lap, musing aloud that humans are unreliable and that all he truly needs is Mari, as he still believes she's just a robot. Nearby, Mari too begins her recharging process. He remembers that Mari also requires charging, so he hands her a double-A battery with a fond smile, saying it's her favorite type. Curious, he asks how she recharges because he'd like to see it himself. Mari panics internally, realizing she has no idea how to fake it. In desperation, she places the battery in her mouth and pretends to recharge. Roy, watching from the doorway, feels certain their secret will be exposed. But when Arthur mutters how adorable Mari looks while charging, Roy realizes how dumb Arthur can be with Mari. Later, Arthur tells Roy that security in the manor seems too relaxed lately. Roy explains that it's mainly because Arthur keeps firing employees on impulse. He suggests that Arthur take a break, pointing out that his father also used to rest when managing the company, though he leaves out that Arthur's father often spent that rest with women. Arthur considers the advice and asks Mari if she has a lover priority mode. Mari freezes in shock as Arthur and Roy both wait for her response. Soon after, Mari finds herself accompanying Arthur into town, awkwardly attempting to act as his lover. She robotically declares that she loves him, thinking it's a failure, but Arthur is secretly delighted. He tells her to stop calling him master and to speak more casually when in this mode. Though it takes effort, Mari manages to call him by his name, making Arthur's heart skip a beat. As they walk, Mari recalls her teacher's advice that to become strong, one must learn from someone strong. Applying this logic, she decides that to be a perfect lover, she must observe real couples. She spots a couple nearby, watching as the girl invites her boyfriend for tea. Mimicking her, Mari invites Arthur to have tea as well, choosing the same shop the couple enters. Noticing the girl hugging her boyfriend, Mari tries to imitate it, accidentally crushing Arthur in her overly strong embrace. Once seated, Mari apologizes, but her focus remains on the couple. When she sees the girl feeding her boyfriend, she realizes she can do the same easily. Arthur finds her actions oddly charming. He takes her hand and gently guides the treat to his mouth. To thank her, he also hand feeds her a battery, shocking everyone nearby who assumes they are witnessing an act of domestic abuse. They eventually leave the cafe, with Mari's gaze still locked on the couple in front of them. She watches how affectionate they are. Arthur, unaware that they are following anyone, notices a few small boats by the river. Seeing his gaze, Mari reminds him that she might break down if she falls into the water, hiding the fact that she cannot swim. A worried expression crosses Arthur's face as he realizes Roy might take her away if she malfunctions. As Arthur reflects on his suggestion, Mari continues observing the couple. This time, she sees the girl giving her boyfriend a small gift. Mari reasons that such gestures must be part of what makes couples happy. She sees the two share a kiss and quickly decides that is one thing she cannot imitate. She gently plucks a four-leaf clover from the grass and presents it to Arthur, saying that it's a gift meant to bring him happiness. Arthur remains silent, causing Mari to think her offering must be worthless. Arthur carefully takes the clover from her hand and tells her that sincerity matters more than the price of a gift. As they stroll through the park, they notice how nearly every couple is holding hands. Arthur hesitantly asks if they can do the same and gently shows her how. Mari overhears someone remark about how many couples there are that day and starts to wonder if Arthur will someday meet a kind girl. By nightfall, Arthur brings her to an old church and admits to visiting it often with his parents. Suddenly, he asks if he can kiss her. Mari freezes, her expression blank but her mind in a panic. She knows that she is supposed to allow it, but she feels uneasy. Just as Arthur leans in, Mari spots a projectile flying toward them. She moves quickly, pulling him out of harm's way. From the corner of her eye, she spots movement on the church roof and tells Arthur to stay where he is while she handles it. She comes face to face with Noah, who seems more intrigued by her abilities than by his target. He casually asks if she is Arthur's girlfriend, but Mari insists she's only his attendant. As she attacks, she realizes how effortlessly Noah blocks and dodges. His composure and speed make it clear that he is no ordinary opponent. Mari hears Arthur calling out to her. She turns to tell him to stay back, but Noah suddenly appears behind her and declares that he likes her. With a quick push, he sends her off the roof. Mari realizes she is falling, but before she can hit the ground, Arthur catches her just in time. She apologizes for letting Noah escape, silently scolding herself for failing both as Arthur's protector and as his supposed lover. As her thoughts spiral with guilt, Arthur leans in and plants a gentle kiss on her cheek, saying that their real kiss can wait until she enters lover mode again. Mari warns him that she cannot promise to use that mode often since it consumes a large amount of battery. Hearing this, Arthur's expression darkens and he quietly calls Roy to come pick them up. The next day at school, Mari's mind keeps drifting back to Noah. She vows to herself that she will finish him off the next time they meet. Her thoughts are interrupted when the teacher announces a new transfer student, and Noah cheerfully introduces himself in front of the class. Outside, Maynard mutters that he hopes Noah can finally get the job done. Back in class, Noah quickly becomes popular with the girls, his charm winning them over with ease. Marty wastes no time and leaves the room, determined to find Arthur and warn him that an assassin has infiltrated their school. As she hurries down the hallway, Noah suddenly appears next to her, asking if she will attend his welcome party. Without hesitation, Mari attacks him, declaring that no one invited her. Noah deflects her strikes with ease and counters, remarking that people are afraid of her because of her lack of emotion. He grabs her face, saying he wants to twist that expressionless look with pain and that he fell for her the moment they met. Mari breaks free, convinced that he is a psychopath. When she demands to know his purpose, Noah reveals a thick stack of documents, photos, and records of her past as a trained fighter. Every trace of that life should have been erased by Roy when she assumed her role as a robot maid. Noah explains that his real gift to her is the time and effort he spent uncovering her secrets. Mari's stomach turns at his words, finding his obsession disturbing. He then asks why she chose to hide behind the identity of a robot maid. Mari asks Noah what he truly wants from her, and he replies with a disarmingly innocent smile that he only wants to get along. Before she can respond, Arthur appears, demanding to know what business Noah has with Mari. Noah casually mentions that he was just looking at some interesting photos. Fearing that Arthur might see, Marty quickly turns around and pretends to play along with Noah's act. Noah then places a hand on Marty's shoulder, smugly claiming that it seems she prefers him over Arthur. The statement ignites Arthur's anger, and he tells Noah to remove his hand, declaring that Marty dislikes him. Noah asks Marty if that is true. Thinking fast, Marty responds that she simply wants to remain on good terms with him because he holds valuable information. Noah appears delighted by her answer and boldly declares that Marty now belongs to him. Arthur, frustrated by the entire exchange, accuses Noah of filling her head with nonsense. He challenges Noah to a duel, with the prize being Marty herself. Chaos suddenly erupts as a group of chickens race past them, followed closely by a few panicked students. Toby hurriedly explains that 7 chickens from the research lab have escaped. Sensing an opportunity, Noah snaps his fingers and suggests that their duel be settled by whoever catches the most chickens. Arthur agrees, while Toby assumes they are simply helping him recover the escaped animals. Arthur catches one with ease. A few girls nearby notice his skill and begin to whisper admiringly. Unbothered by the attention, Arthur remarks that animals are far more trustworthy than human beings. The statement makes Mari quietly worry about how deeply his distrust for people runs. After gently placing the chicken into a cart that already holds 2 others, he turns to Mari and tells her to allow him to protect her this time when she offers to help him. The girls watching from afar swoon at his words and the way he handles her so carefully. Hearing a panicked chicken, he immediately runs off in pursuit. Meanwhile, Noah takes a different approach, asking nearby students to help him find and catch the remaining chickens. Marty calls out that his tactics are unfair, but Noah merely reminds her that they never establish any rules against seeking help. He soon spots 3 chickens huddled nearby and attempts to approach them, but the birds instantly scatter in all directions. Watching the scene unfold, Marty concludes that even the animals can sense how unhinged Noah truly is, no matter how charming he tries to appear. Noah decides to use one of his assassination tools, skillfully capturing all 3 chickens in one motion and matching Arthur's current total. A female student then informs him that another chicken has been spotted in the garden in front of the cafeteria. Noah immediately heads there, only to find Arthur already in pursuit of the same bird. Sensing the tension between them, the chicken darts into the thick bushes, making it nearly impossible for Arthur to keep track of it. Noah, however, quickly pinpoints its location with his trained eyes and sprints after it. Arthur follows close behind, unwilling to lose. Watching from a distance, Marvy grows anxious that Arthur might fall behind. Thinking fast, she climbs a nearby tree to gain a better vantage point and begins calling out directions to guide him. Just as she spots the chicken's hiding place and calls out to Arthur, the branch beneath her snaps, sending her plummeting into the lake below. Arthur immediately abandons the chase, diving into the water to rescue her. Noah stops in confusion, glancing between the chicken and the direction Arthur has gone. Under the water, Margus sinks helplessly until Arthur reaches her and pulls her to safety. He lays her gently on the grass, frantically assuring her that he will call Roy to repair her right away. Though Mari keeps her eyes closed, she can hear the panic in his voice and feel his trembling hands. Despite believing she has failed him as both a protector and a companion, Mari feels deeply moved by his concern. When a single tear from Arthur lands on her cheek, she opens her eyes and tells him that she is fine. Just then, a student announces that Noah has already secured the final chicken. Noah approaches with the bird in his arms, but instead of gloating, he declares Arthur the real winner because he chose to abandon the contest to save what truly mattered to him. As Noah walks away, Mari and Arthur quietly return to the manor, where Roy immediately scolds Mari for her recklessness. Even though it was Mari who nearly drowned, it is Arthur who ends up falling ill. After the school incident, Roy threatens to kill Mari because Arthur caught a cold after trying to save her. She has been hiding her true identity as a human the entire time, and she was doing okay until Noah managed to dig up her past. Roy is surprised. He lets go of Mari, saying that such a thing is impossible since he made sure to destroy her past. Mari states that the most important thing to do is to make sure Arthur recovers and promises to serve him to the best of her abilities. Roy tells her to follow him because he has something for her. He shows her a briefcase and says that Arthur's father used it as a nursing set and always recovered because of it. However, Roy admits that he's actually not sure what's inside. Moments later, Mari finds Arthur attempting to work in his study. She notices that he's struggling and tries to get him to stop by taking his laptop away. She insists that he rest, but Arthur weakly argues against her since he has a lot of student council work to finish. Before he can argue further, he has a fit of coughing, causing Mari to urge him to rest again. However, he still insists that he must complete his tasks first. He says he was chosen to take responsibility and must live up to expectations because people rely on him. Mari is left speechless by his determination and can only watch as Arthur wobbles out of his study to retrieve some documents. Watching him, Mari decides it's time to use the nursing kit. She opens the case and is shocked by its contents. Arthur is still looking for the documents when Mari calls his name. He turns to see Mari clad in a nurse's outfit. Mari is still confused that the nursing kit contained a uniform, but if it works, she won't complain. Arthur is too stunned at the sight to react as she carries him away to his room. She pins him down on the bed, asking him again to rest. Arthur thinks he might be dreaming of Mari in a nurse's outfit due to his fever, but then he also considers the possibility that this is Mari's nursing mode. He convinces himself it's just that, refusing to admit he's being a perv. He decides to agree with her, and Mari leans down to press her forehead against his to feel how bad his fever is. Arthur grows nervous and asks Mari how she can measure temperature, since what she just did seems very human-like. Mari realizes she acted out of instinct and quickly covers it up by claiming she has a temperature sensor on her forehead. Mari tells him that his temperature is high and that it's best if he lets her wipe his sweat off. Without complaint, Arthur removes his shirt. He tells her to do what she needs, and Mari reminds herself that she is simply a robot fulfilling her duty. She manages to wipe down his front without issue, but when she wipes his back, she's shocked to see it covered in scars. Arthur admits that he doesn't let people see his back because those scars will haunt him forever. Gently, Mari wraps her arms around him from behind, promising that as long as she serves him, she will never allow harm to come to him again. She doesn't let him see the tears in her eyes as she silently prays that she will be the only one to see him this vulnerable. Arthur's heart races, convinced that he must be dreaming. Meanwhile, two assassins manage to infiltrate the estate. They are confident they can kill Arthur since, according to their intel, he is sick and in critical condition. Mari appears behind them, and one of the assassins is pleasantly surprised, thinking she's a cosplay nurse. Without hesitation, Mari kicks him, immediately knocking him out. The other attacks, but she knocks him out using one of the estate's ornaments. She drags the two bodies away to dispose of them and causes the last assassin to fall from a window. Mari apologizes to Arthur for the noise but reassures him that she has taken care of all threats and that he can rest. From his place on the bed, Arthur smiles at her and takes her hand, saying that he feels at peace because Mari is with him and that she's the only one he can show his vulnerable side to. He admits that he pretends to be strong in public, even though he hates people who lie the most. Mari feels guilty because she's lying to him, but the desire to stay by his side is stronger than her guilt. She wonders what these feelings mean since she finds it strange to be this attached. Elsewhere, Maynard looks for Noah, only for Noah to sneak up behind him and startle him. When Noah asks what the club is for, Maynard swings it wildly, claiming he brought it because Noah always spooks him. After he calms down a little, he asks Noah if he brought the item he had promised. Noah tosses him Arthur's phone, and Maynard immediately smashes it, ensuring the video will never be seen by the public. Noah tells him that now they can easily kill Arthur without fear of getting caught, but Maynard instructs him to bring Arthur alive because he wants to do the honors of killing him himself. A few days later, with Arthur finally recovered, Carmia High School holds its anniversary party. This year, it's a costume party, and Arthur welcomes the guests, thanking them for their participation. Mari watches his opening remarks, grateful that Arthur managed to recover in time to host the event. After his speech, Arthur approaches Mari and asks if she's tired. He then hands her several double-A batteries so she can recharge whenever she feels exhausted. She thanks him, even though she doesn't really have any use for them. Noah then greets them, showing off his vampire outfit for the occasion. He boasts that the entire class loved his costume, then notices that Mari is dressed as a maid. He immediately hugs her and calls her cute, angering Arthur, who asks nearby guests if they have anything he can hit Noah with. Before Arthur can commit a crime, a senator calls for his attention. Arthur immediately greets the senator and tells Mari that he needs to entertain him for a while. Once Mari is left with Noah, he complains that he's bored and decides to look for some food. Mari decides she needs to silence Noah. She approaches the buffet table and notices someone in a vampire costume, scolding him for talking too much. The student looks shocked, and Mari realizes that the person isn't Noah but someone wearing a similar costume. The student then tells Mari that it was Noah who gave him that costume, and it's not just him but several other students as well. Mari realizes that Noah predicted her attempt to kill him and cleverly concealed himself by dressing multiple students in the same outfit. She immediately calls Roy to ask where Arthur is. Roy tells her to follow his directions, and Mari quickly darts off to find Arthur. Arthur and the senator are chatting when Noah suddenly injects him with something that causes him to faint. The senator apologizes and flees the scene. Noah becomes slightly distracted and doesn't notice Arthur pull out a taser until he feels the shock. His gloves manage to conduct the electricity so he isn't fully stunned, and he tries to subdue Arthur with a kick. Arthur manages to block it but struggles since he can't see his attacker. Noah, impressed, explains that he injected Arthur with a sedative that weakens sight and hearing. Normally, people who don't fall unconscious would already be begging for their lives, but Arthur is the only one he's met who keeps fighting through the drug. He gives Arthur another dose, which finally knocks him unconscious. Noah tells the unconscious Arthur that the last dose was actually meant for Mari, as he had hoped to capture them both. Meanwhile, Mari is still being guided to Arthur's location by Roy. When she nears the room where the GPS signal is coming from, she tells Roy to prepare something. Entering the room, she notices it's unused. She spots another door and assumes Arthur is just behind it. As she moves toward it, Noah suddenly thrusts a knife at her neck, but Mari dodges it just in time. Noah is amused that Mari remains emotionless despite the attack. Mari kicks him away, then strikes again to disarm him. She tells Noah that because she couldn't defeat him the last few times, she decided to retrain herself. Noah looks at her with amusement and tells her that this time he'll also be serious. The two begin to fight, exchanging punches and kicks. Noah seems to be enjoying himself, saying that if they were to partner up, it would be fun to do contract killings. Mari is disgusted, replying that no one would want that job and that she is already Arthur's maid. Noah manages to pin her down and admits that he feels disappointed in her since he knows more about her than Arthur does and even declared his love despite knowing her past. He begins to choke her, trying to make her admit she can be happy with him. Mari stubbornly refuses and notices that his grip with his right hand is weaker. She uses that knowledge to break free and quickly dashes away. Noah realizes he's still feeling the effects of Arthur's stun gun. Mari then takes one of the double of batteries and launches it toward the chandelier, shattering the lights and plunging the room into darkness. Mari tries to reach the door where she believes Arthur is, but Noah announces that her little trick won't work because he's used to seeing in the dark. He spots Mari and uses a chain whip to pull her closer. However, as the figure draws near, he realizes it isn't Mari. Mari too easily breaks his weapon and punches him. The real Mari compliments her counterpart, then leaves Mari too to handle Noah while she rescues Arthur. She finds him very weak but with no external injuries. She helps him up and they begin to make their escape. She calls out to Mari too to announce their retreat, but instead feels Noah's hand grab her. Mari turns and sees Noah, who she thinks looks like a zombie. Then she notices Mari too shattered in pieces nearby. Enraged, she elbows Noah, and because he's already weakened, he falls back. Noah tells Mari that he knows she loves Arthur, but insists it will never work because Arthur loves the robot version of her. He claims Arthur will never love her once he learns she's human. He goes on to say that Mari isn't the type to be loved anyway since she's been shunned and hated since childhood. Noah continues to mock her, saying she's doomed to walk a lonely, unloved path. To her surprise, Arthur suddenly covers her ears, telling her not to listen to him. Even Noah is shocked since Arthur shouldn't be able to stand with the amount of drugs he was injected with. Arthur, still struggling to see clearly, moves toward Noah and orders him to face him. Marg is touched, not expecting Arthur to care or think about her. She jumps in between them and attacks Noah, silently promising to always stay by Arthur's side. When she returns to Arthur's side, she sees that he's already unconscious. She looks at him fondly, thinking about how hard he always tries to protect her. Mari realizes that Arthur has made her feel so many new emotions. Softly, she confesses her love to his unconscious form. After the incident, Mari returns to school. The class notices that Noah isn't attending, and Mari knows it's because of the fatal wound she gave him. However, she's shocked when she leaves the classroom and finds Noah standing right in front of her, heavily bandaged. Noah tells her to take it easy, explaining that he can't do any assassination work due to his injuries. Instead, he asks if she'll be able to keep up her facade now that she's aware of her feelings. He warns her that love built on lies is doomed to end tragically. Then he whispers that she can always run to him. Arthur suddenly appears nearby and Noah greets him as if nothing's wrong. He claims he simply fell and got injured but heard Arthur was also a victim of an attack. Arthur eyes him suspiciously and tells Noah that during the attack, he heard Noah's voice. Noah casually claims Arthur must have imagined it and leaves to do other business. Marty moves closer to Arthur and notices he seems to be in a good mood. Arthur smiles and says it's because he had a good dream while he was unconscious, and he hopes that someday it will come true. One day, Mari finds herself facing an assassin who demands to know where Arthur is. The man doesn't realize that Mari is actually Arthur's bodyguard and doesn't see it coming when she kicks him out the window. Arthur tells Mari she did a good job taking care of another assassin. Lately, he's noticed an increase in attempts on his life. He suspects one of his staff members to be involved and points to someone he remembers snooping around recently. The staff member panics upon being discovered and is dragged out of the manor. Arthur feels relieved that Mari is a robot who will never lie to him. He compliments her appearance while Mari quietly reminds herself that she must continue hiding her identity as a human if she wants to stay by Arthur's side. However, it's been difficult lately since she's realized that she has romantic feelings for him. Arthur looks so radiant when he smiles at her that she begins to worry she might accidentally give herself away. She darts away, unaware that she's just knocked over Arthur's precious vase in the process. Roy worries about the vase, but Arthur tells him it's fine, saying Mari is far more precious to him. Marty sneaks back to see what's happening and overhears Arthur saying he can always buy a replacement vase. However, Roy points out that Mari has been making a lot of mistakes lately. Roy informs Arthur that he'll be sending Mari to the factory, and Mari panics. To her, being sent to the factory is the same as dying. Later that afternoon, she feels depressed because all she wants is to stay by Arthur's side. Mari too notices Mari's strange behavior toward Arthur and concludes that she's showing signs of love. Marvi overhears this and, relieved that Mari too is fully repaired, runs up and hugs her. Marvi too swears that if she ever sees Noah again, she'll smash him flat like a hamburger. She also tells Marvi about her new upgrades. She's now programmed to step in and support Mari whenever she's in trouble, and she can even help with Mari's love life. Marvi starts tearing up and admits that Arthur looks so radiant to her that she doesn't know what to do. As Mari too searches the internet for answers, Mari begins to believe she's finally made a reliable friend. Later, Mari and Mari too visit Arthur. Arthur notices that Mari is wearing sunglasses, and Mari too explains that she's in DJ mode and will now provide him with uplifting music. As Mari begins using the turntables, Arthur smiles at her, pleased with the feature. Mari is thankful that Arthur is gullible enough for her to keep wearing her shades whenever she feels he's too radiant. However, Arthur gently removes her sunglasses, telling Mari that he wants to see her face all the time. Mari too notices that Mari's vitals are rising and that her composure might soon break. To help, Mari too bumps into her, hoping to divert the situation, only for Mari to slam into Arthur's face. In an attempt to cover up their mistake, Mari too explains that removing sunglasses while in DJ mode could cause mechanical malfunctions. Mari leads him to the couch so he can rest, but when he asks if he can sit on her lap, she panics and pretends to malfunction. Mari too quickly explains that this is a result of Arthur removing her sunglasses earlier. Mari lies still, wondering how she ever managed to act as his lap pillow. Mari too tells Arthur that he shouldn't touch Mari for now, but that other requests can still be fulfilled. Arthur understands and asks Mari if she can say I love you to him. Mari stands up and says she can, but remains silent for so long that Mari too checks if she's still functioning. Mari starts to speak, but instead of saying the phrase, she blurts out something else. Mari too immediately tells Arthur that Mari needs rebooting and pushes her away. Mari allows it, wondering why those words suddenly became hard to say. They stop by the staircase, and Mari admits that she's not okay at all. Realizing she's in love with Arthur has made things that used to be easy suddenly difficult. Mari confesses that love has made her weak. Mari too moves beside her and tells her that while love can make a person vulnerable, it can also give them strength. Mari's eyes widen with hope as Mari too convinces her that love can be a source of power. Feeling comforted, Mari's heart warms as she realizes she's found a true friend in Mari too. She gets up and decides to apologize to Arthur. Mari finds Arthur still in his study, but he ends up apologizing first. He thinks Mari has been overworked since the party and hasn't had enough time to recover. He finds his feelings toward her strange. He's aware that Mari was given to him to serve as protection, but recently he's found himself wanting to protect her instead. His words only make Mari fall for him even more, and a blush rises to her cheeks before she can stop it. Arthur looks at her, and at that moment, she seems almost human to him. Mari thinks he's about to embrace her, but instead he moves to shield her with his body as the assassin from earlier bursts through the nearby window. The assassin mocks them, saying that a fall from the second floor wouldn't kill him. Pulling out a gun, he declares that this time he'll get Arthur for sure since he's better prepared. As Arthur glares at him from the floor, Mari grows irritated that the assassin interrupted a precious moment between them. She suddenly feels an immense surge of energy coursing through her body. She leaps out of Arthur's hold and realizes that Mari too was right, love really can give strength. She kicks the man, who sneers and calls her creepy because of her expressionless face. He's struck by a statue that Arthur throws at him. Arthur then tells him that Mari is cute. Arthur smiles at Mari and she allows herself to smile back. Shocked that she's showing expression for the first time, Arthur quickly leaves the room, letting Mari and Mari too deal with the assassin. As he walks away, he wonders if he truly saw Mari smile or if his mind was playing tricks on him. He recalls the night of the party when he was unconscious. He could have sworn he heard Mari confess her love for him. He collapses onto the floor, realizing he's hallucinating about Mari because he's fallen in love with her. Disgusted with himself, he crawls to his bed. Once there, he starts thinking about how to make marriage with a robot possible and wonders how the world would react if he ever announced it. One day, as Mari and Mari too tend to the garden, Roy informs Mari that Arthur is looking for her. As Mari prepares to go, Roy corrects himself, saying he meant Mari too instead. The correction stings, and Mari feels a pang of jealousy knowing Arthur didn't ask for her. The next day, Mari wakes up and overhears Roy giving instructions to Mari too instead of her. Curious, she sneaks a peek and sees Arthur and Mari too greeting Charlotte. Charlotte notices Mari and greets her kindly, prompting Mari to return the gesture politely. However, she's not invited to join them in the study. Mari too has already taken over most of her usual duties. When Mari tries to offer Arthur some tea, Arthur ignores her and instead asks Mari too for her opinion about their private meeting yesterday. A little later, Mari tries to spy on them from the balcony outside Arthur's study. She can barely hear most of the conversation, but is aware that Mari too and Roy are involved in it. She starts to believe that Mari too and Arthur have developed a secret relationship behind her back. Arthur returns to his study relieved to see Mari already there. He tries to ask her for a shoulder massage, but Mari coldly replies that Mari too is better at massages, so he should ask her instead. The next day, before Mari and Arthur head to school, Mari makes a side remark saying that she knows Arthur would prefer it if Mari too accompanied him instead. She adds that Mari too is cuter than her, so it's understandable, and heads to the car with Arthur following after her. Roy watches them leave, slightly worried since Mari's feelings are becoming very obvious. On the car ride to school, Arthur talks about how tiring student council work has been and how he needs a break. He suggests that they stop by the park after school to watch the sunset. Again, Mari tells him to take Mari too instead, and Arthur's eyes widen in surprise at her suggestion. Mari immediately scolds herself internally for speaking out of turn, realizing she might have sounded rude to her master. When they arrive at school, Mari watches as several girls gush over Arthur as he walks toward the building. Mari heads to her own class and notices that Noah is surrounded by people, talking about having another party soon. Mari turns away, trying to avoid him. She doesn't get far before Noah appears right behind her. He asks if she needs something from him, but Mari doesn't respond. He points out that she's not with Arthur, and Mari admits that she feels strange whenever she's with him lately. So instead of tailing Arthur, she decided to keep her eyes on Noah to make sure Arthur stays safe from him. Noah tells her that if she ever wants to vent or talk, he can be there for her since Mari doesn't have any friends she can confide in. To his surprise, Mari actually tells him what she's feeling. She goes near him and admits that she feels angry whenever other people get close to Arthur. Noah tells her that what she's feeling is jealousy and that it's normal for someone in love. He smiles and says that the best way to deal with jealousy is simply to get rid of the people she's jealous of. He then begins talking about how he also wants to get rid of Arthur soon so he and Mari can be together, but by then, Mari has already disappeared from his sight. He finds jealous Mari to be cute. At the end of the day, Mari patiently waits for Arthur by the gate when the driver informs her that he will pick her up. Mari tells him that Arthur is still inside, but the driver says Arthur is already at the park and that he was instructed to just pick Mari up. Mari suddenly goes silent before deciding to head to the park herself, leaving her bag to fall onto the pavement. The driver picks up the bag, commenting how Mari is such a strange robot since her behavior patterns don't really match up. Mari runs toward the park, realizing that Noah was right. She is jealous. She's worried that Mari too will take Arthur away from her. However, she feels guilty for thinking ill of Mari too, who is her friend. She finds that loving Arthur is difficult because it forces her to deal with such ugly emotions. Arthur is watching the sunset just as he said he would when an assassin suddenly appears to kill him. Mari easily kicks him away, claiming that she's the only one who can watch the sunset with Arthur. To her surprise, more assassins reveal themselves, but they are quickly handled by Mari too, who appears from the bushes. Mari too launches several small missiles that cause the assassins to scatter. She goes after them, instructing Mari to make sure Arthur stays safe. Arthur smiles at Mari too and tells Mari that the modifications he and Roy were working on were a success, and that even Charlotte was involved in the project. They had done it so Mari too could handle things on her own whenever Mari needs repairs. Mari bows her head and apologizes for her recent behavior. admitting that she assumed she was being replaced by Mari too and grew jealous of her. Arthur stiffens at her words, confirming that she actually said she was jealous. He tells Mari that Mari too is an amazing robot maid, but Mari will always be his favorite, regardless of how advanced things become in the future. He embraces her and asks if he should make it more obvious that she'll always be his number one. He cuddles her, pleased by the fact that robots can feel jealousy, finding Mari adorable. Roy watches from afar before turning his attention to the smoke in the distance. He knows Mari too went overboard. His attention returns to Mari and Arthur, who continue to watch the sunset together. One morning, Arthur scolds his driver for being late. Mari believes that Arthur might fire him, but to everyone's surprise, Arthur decides that a scolding is enough and tells Mari to go on ahead in the car. During the car ride, Mari observes Arthur and notices that he doesn't seem as angry as usual. It's then that the driver greets Arthur with a happy birthday. Mari is shocked to learn that today is such an important day for Arthur. Arthur suddenly tells Mari that he really hates his birthday. He explains that people use it as an excuse to send him gifts, but they're always things like bombs or knives. Food is always poisoned, and he can never have a proper birthday party since there's always a bomb threat. He adds that there's a specific bad memory tied to his birthday, but also one good one. He recalls the day he was brought into the manor as a stepson. His father had taken the day off to welcome and celebrate him, and they shared a cake together. It remains Arthur's most cherished memory. Mari can relate because she also really loves birthday cakes. When she lived in poverty, she never had the luxury of having one until someone bought her one. And that small act had made her very happy. Determined to make Arthur happy, she vows that when they return to the house, she will bake him a cake for his birthday. When they arrive at school, girls immediately flock to Arthur to greet him and shower him with gifts. Mari collects them using a cart, but Arthur tells the girls that he won't accept gifts from classmates. He instructs Mari to return the gifts and begins walking to his class. The girls, frustrated, decide to have a word with Mari. Bridget tells her to meet her after school. When they talk, Bridget suddenly offers Mari a chance to be on good terms with the Master Arthur fan club. She also informs Mari of the club's other name, which is the club that wants Master Arthur to see them as trash. Bridget explains that Arthur despises human beings, so every time they greet him cheerfully, he's forced to respond with an awkward, polite smile. While that might seem like a bad sign for them, it's something they completely adore. After explaining herself, Bridget asks Mari if she understands their dedication to Arthur. The club members then try to convince Mari to deliver their gifts to Arthur. Mari struggles to carry everything but promises to at least ask Arthur about accepting them. She then asks if it's true that they really want to get along with her. She admits that she's happy because she also cares deeply for Arthur. Bridget suddenly pales at the realization, and she and the other girls quickly grab their presents back. She tells Mari that being a love-struck fan is a grave sin. Bridget says that Arthur is too perfect, and falling in love with him means forgetting one's place. She tells Mari to give up on her feelings, but Mari refuses. The girls chase her for going against them. And as Mari runs away, she wonders if it's wrong to be in love with Arthur. When she turns a corner, she runs into Arthur, who glares at the girls. Once they're gone, he makes sure Mari is okay. Mari reassures him that she was just playing hide and seek with the girls. He tells her that he has student council work to do, so she should head home first. Once she returns home, she begins preparing the cake. She believes all she needs to do is toss in some yummy ingredients, and it should turn out fine. She is unaware that many of the ingredients she prepared aren't suited for a cake. As she mixes the batter, she suddenly feels a chill and swipes at the area where it's coming from. It turns out to be Noah, who catches her arm before she can hit him. Marga manages to pull her arm back and moves to attack, but when she kicks, Noah catches her foot. He tells her to relax because he isn't on the job at the moment. Marvi stays suspicious but asks what he's doing in the manor. Noah immediately hugs her and asks for cake, prompting Marga to try to kick him again. Noah just dodges happily as Mari refuses to give in. She continues baking while also trying to hit him for being too close. Noah teases that cooking is a great way to eliminate a target from the inside and that she should make sure to do a good job. Suddenly, the oven explodes and Mari pulls out her ruined cake. She smells something odd and accuses Noah of tampering with it, but he insists that he didn't touch anything. He runs away, teasing that Mari is a horrible cook. Jumping out the window, he mocks her for chasing an impossible kind of love. As he lands, he considers visiting the estate again to see Mari, but spots Mari too in the vicinity. Realizing his mistake, he decides not to sneak around again. Mari too goes around the manor, reactivating the security systems that Noah had deactivated. Meanwhile, Mari has just finished baking and wrapping her second attempt at a cake. It looks inedible, but she comforts herself by thinking that at least the wrapper makes it look nicer. Mari too doesn't notice her and bumps into her, causing the cake to fall to the ground. Mari too apologizes, but Mari says it's fine since the cake wasn't good anyway. She tells Mari too to continue her patrol while she stares at the ruined cake. She takes it as a sign to give a gift. Suddenly, she remembers everything people had said about her impossible love for Arthur. Picking up the wrapped cake, she realizes that even if it came from her, Arthur might not accept it, and it already looked bad before it fell, so it's best she not give it to him. Arthur spots her and informs her that he has returned home. Marty quickly hides the cake behind her back and greets him. As they walk toward his study, Arthur admits that he feels bad for turning down all the gifts, but he can't risk accepting any. He notes that everyone feels differently about birthdays, and for him, it's a day he hates. Mari suddenly remembers that she wanted to give him a gift because she believes birthdays are supposed to be happy days. Gathering her courage, she decides to give him the cake, saying she downloaded a recipe and tried to bake it herself. Arthur accepts the present and says that now that he has Mari, he no longer feels depressed about his birthday. He takes a small bite of the cake, but immediately notices something is off. It turns out Mari accidentally swapped the sugar for salt. Still, he insists that the cake is good. He then tells her there's something he wants to do for her. He asks her to put on a dress he prepared and leaves so she can change. When he returns a few moments later in a new outfit and holding a curling iron, he compliments how great the dress looks on her and begins curling her hair. When he finishes, Mari is surprised by how skillful he is at styling. Arthur then decides to spend the rest of the day and evening serving her. He picks flowers for her in the garden and even makes a small cake out of batteries as a gift. He also lets her rest on his lap, just like how she lets him rest on hers. Though pampered, Mari feels oddly heavy inside. A sudden knock on the door alerts them, and the man on the other side claims to have brought Arthur some gifts. Arthur moves toward the door, but it suddenly bursts open as a man tries to stab him. Marvi is ready to attack, but Arthur tasers the man first. Marvi feels strange seeing their roles reversed. When another man rushes toward Arthur, Marvi interrupts and tells him to wait for her. She scurries upstairs, changes into her maid uniform, and promptly kicks the man. She realizes that the heaviness she felt came from wanting to be the one to protect Arthur. Marvi then princess carries Arthur and tells him that he is strong and must have been capable of defending himself even before she arrived. However, it is because he is strong that she wants to protect him. She asks if Arthur dislikes being protected by her, but he reassures her that he loves being protected by her. One day at school, Marvi rushes to Arthur after a student tells her that he had collapsed. The student leads her to the robot enthusiast club room and leaves her in the dark once she enters. Suddenly, Marvi finds herself tied up, surrounded by several excited students. One student steps forward and explains that he suspects she is the new robot developed by the Zetas group due to her inhuman athleticism. Another argues that she might be human since she was tricked so easily, but someone else claims that could just be a design flaw. The first member tells Marvi they want to study her. Marvi grows irritated, realizing she's basically been kidnapped. She knows she needs to escape before they try anything. The club members grab their tools but hesitate, realizing they'd feel guilty tearing apart a female robot. They curse the company for making their robots look like female maids, saying it's unfair since it makes them feel bad about wanting to examine them. Realizing they're idiots, Marvi decides to trick them. She tells them she has an anti-gravity function but needs to be lowered to the ground first to activate it. The boys quickly comply and she begins jumping in place. Then she claims she's also capable of lying and begins kicking the members. She tries to escape, but there are too many of them and she ends up on her back. The students decide not to feel sorry for her and prepare to dismantle her, but the clubroom door suddenly opens. Arthur appears, revealing that he found Marvi through a GPS tracker. As he calmly walks toward her, one of the club members tries to attack him from behind, but Arthur punches the student instead. He declares that Marvi is his and that he will protect her. Marvi feels guilty for being protected again, but as she tries to move to join him, she realizes there's something off with her underwear. To avoid suspicion, she pretends to malfunction and lose her memory of Arthur. Arthur quickly informs Roy of the situation, and inwardly, Roy wonders what Marvi had done. Marvi silently apologizes in her head. Roy suggests sending her in for maintenance, assuring she can be fixed within a day, but Arthur refuses, declaring that he will find a way to make Marvi remember him himself. He then drags Marvi away. Once they're alone, Arthur takes both of Marvi's hands and tells her that they have 7 rules in their daily lovey-dovey routine, and that following those rules might help restore her memory. The next morning, they share a hug, which he says is the first rule. They also enter school hand in hand, which he claims is the second rule. For the third rule, he has Marvi feed him, and then they gaze into each other's eyes as the 4th rule. For the 5th rule, he lies on her lap and then pats her head for the 6th. For the final rule, Arthur instructs her to close her eyes. She realizes that the last one is probably a kiss, so she does as she's told. However, she doesn't feel anything, so she takes a peek and opens her eyes, only to see Arthur smiling at her with a hint of regret. When he starts to feel bad about Marvi losing her memories of him, she suddenly claims that her memories have actually been restored thanks to her lover mode and all the physical contact they've had. She then tells him that there were never any 7 lovey-dovey rules between them and adds that Arthur hates liars, yet he lied to her. Her words hit him like punches, and they both walk home together, silently wishing the rules were real so they could hold hands for real. Today is Kalmia Academy's sports day, where both Arthur and Mari will be participating. Their sister school, Perennial High School, will also be sharing its sports day with them. What makes this event especially important is that the losing school will merge with the winning one. The previous day, Arthur expressed that he wants to do everything in his power to keep Kalmia independent, since it's the school his father attended and the school that now holds his precious memories with Mari. Mari silently swears to do her best in today's events. Soon she is approached by Daryl from Perennial High School. Mari notices he is very popular, as the girls around them easily recognize him as Arthur's best friend. Daryl asks if Mari knows which events Arthur will be joining. He explains that even though they are on opposing teams this year, he wants to cheer Arthur on in every sport. Mari stares at him because Arthur had not mentioned having a best friend since she started working for him. Thinking she might doubt him, Daryl quickly mentions Arthur's secret dislike of bell peppers. Mari brightens immediately at this detail, confirming his authenticity, and she tells him which events Arthur will be in without hesitation. Once Daryl learns the events, he hurries off to another area. Mari then suddenly gets rolled over by a huge ball. She looks only to find out it's Amy from Master Arthur's fan club. Amy explains that she's trying to finish her duties quickly so she can watch Arthur's equestrian competition. Mari decides to help her push the balls back to their proper place so they can both watch him together, since they share a similar admiration for Arthur. At the competition area, many girls have gathered to cheer for Arthur. Arthur looks different and extremely dazzling in equestrian attire, serving as eye candy for the crowd. Amy and Mari run toward the field, only to be greeted by Bridget and the other members of Arthur's fan club who are wearing horse ears and tails. Mari questions their appearance, and Bridget explains that they're wearing them in hopes that Arthur will mistake them for horses and ride them. Mari chooses to ignore the fan club's strange antics and scans the rest of the crowd instead. The equestrian competition begins, and Arthur appears to be in perfect sync with his horse. He clears the first few obstacles with surprising ease. Daryl moves closer, cheering him on, but also gives a strange hand signal disguised as a wave. A man with an air gun notices the signal and fires at the horse. It happens so quickly that almost no one notices. The horse gets startled and throws Arthur off. The girls wail when they see him on the ground. Carl and Charlotte find it strange that Arthur suddenly lost control of the horse. Mari too immediately begins scanning the area and detects one combat scout nearby. From the crowd, Mari also watches Arthur with worry. Arthur stands up and reassures everyone that he's fine. He asks the crowd to remain calm because the horse is getting agitated by the noise. He instructs one of the handlers to check the horse for injuries and promises he'll also visit the nurse's office to make sure he's alright. Arthur then limps out of the field, his injury more obvious now that he's away from the crowd. Mari catches up to him just as he sits down to rest. He tells Mari to check what's in his hand. Arthur explains that his horse had been shot between the eyes with it. Mari wonders if this is an assassination attempt, but the method seems oddly childish. Arthur then mutters Daryl's name. Mari recalls that this is supposedly Arthur's best friend. Arthur is surprised she knows this piece of information, and after some gentle coaxing, he finally tells her about his history with Daryl. Arthur met Daryl in grade school. Back then, Arthur hadn't yet been chosen as heir, so he was often mistreated for being an illegitimate child. One day, their class was told to pair up. Daryl was the only one who approached him. Arthur quickly discovered that Daryl was in a similar situation since he was also an illegitimate child. Arthur thanked him, but worried Daryl might not want to be partners after seeing how few supplies he had. But Daryl only smiled and showed that his own art materials were in a similar state. Daryl noted that they had different colors, so they could share. And if they still lacked something, they could just mix colors together. For the first time, Arthur felt like he finally had a friend. From then on, he and Daryl stuck together. One time during a recital, Arthur's sheet music went missing. Daryl tried to convince him that it would be fine since Arthur had memorized the piece, but Arthur still doubted his ability to play without the sheet music. Daryl told him to calm down first and have a drink of water. Once his nerves settled, Arthur took the stage, but as soon as he placed his hands on the piano, he suddenly passed out. After the recital, Daryl comforted him, blaming Arthur's collapse on his long hours of practice. At first, Arthur was grateful, but everything changed after Daryl's birthday. Arthur had gone out of his way to buy him a present. On his way to school, he spotted Daryl with a group of bullies. Curious, he got closer and overheard everything. Apparently, Daryl had been plotting with them to ruin Arthur's social debut. Daryl had fed him sleeping pills, and the bullies had stolen his sheet music. Arthur learned that Daryl had never liked him at all because Arthur was getting better grades. Daryl had only pretended to be his best friend so he could drag Arthur's life down. He even watched Daryl hand the bullies an air gun to shoot him with. Arthur finishes his story, and Mari feels her blood boil. She suddenly stands up and tells Arthur she'll do the job, which confuses him since he hadn't ordered her to do anything. To blow off steam, Mari punches and kicks a tree. She's frustrated because Arthur has every right to hate Daryl, yet he doesn't. She knows Arthur still cherishes the memories of their friendship. When the tree finally crashes down, Mari swears she will stop Daryl's evil plans against Arthur. Just then, Toby calls out from a window asking if Arthur is really injured. Mari confirms that he sprained his ankle. Moments later, the school's PA system announces that the cavalry battle will begin soon. Toby tells her that both Arthur and Daryl were supposed to participate, but with Arthur's injury, he won't be able to join. Mari decides she will take his place. When Mari informs Arthur's teammates, their confidence immediately plummets. Noah quickly offers to team up with her, but Mari wants to refuse, suspecting another trick. Noah insists that his motives are different today. He gestures to a corner, so Mari heads in that direction. She finds Mari too apprehending several individuals. Noah and Mari too explain that they teamed up earlier and searched the school for anyone who might try to harm Arthur. Mari is surprised that Mari too chose to partner with Noah, considering how much they dislike each other after their previous battle. Mari too reports that the attackers are all students from Perennial High School. Noah initially assumed they were assassins, but is disappointed to learn they're just students armed with air guns. He finds it strange that students would go this far just to protect their school's name. Mari tells them that Daryl is behind everything. Noah recognizes the name as Arthur's best friend, and Mari too starts explaining the definition of best friend. Mari clarifies that Daryl is not Arthur's best friend. She vows to stop him, but Noah points out that Mari can't compete without a team. Soon, the event begins. Spectators notice that Arthur is no longer participating. Instead, they see Mari in his place, carried by Noah, accompanied by two other students Toby recruited at the last minute. Daryl mocks Mari, pretending not to know why Arthur isn't competing. This only fuels Mari's anger, and she promises to defeat him fair and square. A match starts, and the Perennial teams aggressively charge at Kalmia's teams. However, Arthur's fan club, who entered teams under Kalmia, managed to steal the first two headbands from Perennial. They proudly claim they're doing this for both Arthur and Mari. Daryl finds them annoying and signals his friends in the crowd. One of the girls suddenly feels something hit her leg, causing her to trip and take down Bridget and Anna's team with her, disqualifying them. Mari realizes there are still more students in the crowd with air guns. Noah tells her to stay focused as opposing teams rush toward them. Mari reacts quickly and manages to grab a headband. Daryl then goes fully on the offensive, and the field erupts into a fierce struggle with everyone trying to steal each other's bandanas. In the infirmary, Arthur apologizes to Toby for letting the school down and possibly being the reason they might lose their school name. But Toby tells him they still have a chance because Mari has taken his place in the final competition. Back on the field, only 3 teams remain: Mari's team, Daryl's team, and another team from Perennial High School. Daryl takes the opportunity to compliment Mari but tells her she cannot win. However, Mari wants to prove him wrong and quickly defeats the other team. Daryl attacks from behind and with the help of air gun shots manages to throw them off balance. Mari feels herself falling and thinks it's over, but Noah catches her and launches her into the air, sending her straight toward Daryl. Since her feet still haven't touched the ground, Mari is not of the game yet. Everyone watches in anticipation, amazed by a play they've never seen before. Daryl senses Mari's anger and asks if he did something wrong, insisting that he's Arthur's best friend. Mari becomes furious and calls him a liar. She tells him that people like him are the reason Arthur has such deep mistrust in others. Tears form in her eyes as she declares she won't let anyone harm Arthur. With a powerful shove, Daryl's team crashes to the ground and Mari raises the stolen bandana in her fist. The announcer declares Kalmia the winner and the crowd erupts in cheers. Daryl smirks from the ground. He stands and tells Mari that it's a good thing Arthur no longer trusts people because it means he's so weak he can't maintain relationships anymore. He feels that with that type of personality, Arthur is doomed to fail as an heir. As he mocks Arthur, Arthur suddenly appears and punches Daryl back down. The crowd gasps, shocked that Arthur would strike someone they all believe to be his best friend. Arthur accuses him of cheating, and to prove it, Mari too and Noah bring out several students with air guns who confess that Daryl forced them to sabotage the games by threatening them with expulsion. Daryl smirks and pretends he doesn't know what they're talking about. But Arthur shows him a set of photos documenting how Daryl bullied him since they were young. Arthur tells him he'd been waiting until he had enough solid evidence to finally expose who Daryl really is. He tells Daryl that he is no longer the same boy who could only cry. Daryl turns pale and insists that they are best friends, but Arthur replies that while they were friends, he no longer needs Daryl's friendship. He returns to Mari, checking if all her parts are functioning properly. Mari apologizes for acting without permission, then adds that she always believed Arthur would be able to overcome someone like Daryl because he is a strong person. Arthur tells her he's only strong because he has someone like Mari by his side. At the end of the day, Arthur thanks everyone for their support and help. His fan club gushes since this is the first time Arthur gave them such a kind smile. The next day at the estate, Roy notices Arthur playing the piano. He recalls that it has been years since Arthur last played. The music reaches the garden where Mari 2 and Mari are working. Mari 2 comments that the melody sounds energetic and clearly reflects Arthur's current state of mind. At Kalmia High School, most students are excited to begin their summer vacation. Mari, however, learns she did poorly in 2 of her exams, and the teacher schedules a makeup exam for her in 2 days. Mari is shocked. She never expected to fail. As she stares at her test scores, Arthur arrives and looks over her papers. He is surprised she performed so badly and suspects that the robot club may have tampered with her study-related memories. Mari accepts the possibility and informs him that her makeup exam is scheduled for the day after tomorrow. Arthur explains that if she fails again, the school will likely expel her because Kalmina does not tolerate repeated failures. Hearing that, Mari decides that losing the chance to study with Arthur is worse than being scolded by Roy. Arthur suggests they head home so Roy can download the study material into her system. Mari tells him that processing the data might take a week. Because of this, Arthur decides he will personally help her study after school in the library. On the way there, Mari runs into Noah, who already seems aware of her exam situation since he overheard it from the hallway. She tries to ignore him since she urgently needs to begin studying, but as she passes, Noah suddenly offers to help, claiming to be a good teacher. This grabs Mari's attention and she instinctively checks his clothing for hidden weapons, suspecting he knows she will be alone with Arthur in the library, and that if he were to teach her, she might try to attack them. Noah assures her that he genuinely wants to help. He admits that things would be easier for him without Mari around, but he still wants to keep seeing her, so he does not want her to fail out of school. Before she can accuse him of lying, several books fall to the floor. She turns to find Arthur standing there with a shocked expression. Mari quickly explains the situation, insisting she only meant to point out dirt on Noah's shirt. Arthur immediately believes her explanation, knowing she is programmed to be helpful. Noah then asks if he can join their study session. Arthur is confused at first, but Noah explains that since he and Mari are in the same class and cover the same subjects, he can teach her more effectively. Arthur, who belongs to the advanced classes, is unfamiliar with the topics they are studying. Arthur, though uneasy, acknowledges that Noah has a valid point and agrees to let him help Mari. With Arthur's permission, Noah immediately begins guiding Mari toward the library. They settle down to begin studying, with Mari seated between the 2 boys. Arthur tries to assist her with certain parts of the lesson while Noah offers to show her his notes. Instead of taking out his notes, Noah pulls out the documents about Mari's past. Mari sees them before Arthur does and shoots Noah an angry glare. Noah immediately apologizes, and Mari tells Arthur that Noah is simply fooling around and that he shouldn't mind Noah too much. Noah then pretends to drop a piece of paper and casually asks Arthur to pick it up for him. Fearing it might be the document on her past, Mari dives for it first, only to find that it is a blank sheet. A little while later, Noah suggests that Mari join him in another section of the library where he claims the reference materials are better for their subjects. Mari considers it since Noah is one of the top students in their class. As she stands to follow him, Arthur also rises and stops her. Mari asks if Arthur is feeling unwell, and Arthur reassures her that he is fine, though even he is unsure why he reacted that way. By sunset, they finish studying, and Mari begins returning the books they used. Arthur thanks Noah for helping. Noah taunts him, saying he actually knows Mari a little better than Arthur does. Arthur immediately counters that he is with Mari all the time. Noah continues provoking him by claiming Mari has a secret she has not told Arthur, and even offers to reveal one. Arthur, annoyed, feels Noah is just trying to play tricks. Mari returns and notices the tension thickening between them. She tries to ease it by reminding Arthur that they need to head home soon, but as she approaches, she stumbles. Both Arthur and Noah manage to catch her, which stirs an unfamiliar emotion within Mari. When they return home, both Mari 2 and Roy make sure Mari continues studying late into the night for her exam. On the day of the exam, Mari manages to pass, though just barely. She rushes out of the room in relief and sees Arthur running toward her. He admits he was worried about her results, and Mari calmly informs him that she passed. Relief washes over him, and he gently pulls Mari closer, expressing how happy he is, even though a part of him had wanted to be the one to teach her himself. Arthur's mood brightens almost instantly. With the exams behind them, he announces that they can finally enjoy their summer vacation without worrying about grades. He tells Mari they will be spending it on an island. On a remote island, Charlotte and Carl enjoy the sun and sea breeze, grateful for being invited to spend the summer with Mari and Arthur. In another part of the beach, Mari and Arthur relax as well. Mari comments on Arthur's kindness for inviting his relatives, but Arthur admits he hadn't invited anyone at all. Unbeknownst to them, Noah is spying on them. He is the one responsible for bringing Arthur's relatives to the island. He has also invited Arthur's fan club because he does not want Mari and Arthur alone together. The fan club members are delighted for the chance to admire Arthur away from school grounds. Meanwhile, Roy warns Mari 2 to stay on high alert. Charlotte and Carl eventually realize Isabel is missing and assume she has gone to bother Arthur. Sure enough, Arthur and Marvy spot Isabel running toward them, but before she can reach Arthur, Carl manages to catch her and carry her back to their side of the beach while she complains. Elsewhere, Maynard is beside Noah, fumbling with a device and swearing that Arthur will die on this island. He finally activates the machine, causing a massive robot to emerge. Everyone stares in shock at the machine towering over everything. Roy recognizes the robot as Prototype 26, a machine developed alongside Mari 2 during her early design stages. Noah comments that the robot seems too large to be a prototype of Mari 2. Roy wonders how the unit ended up on the island, and Mari 2 reports that she had detected Maynard nearby. Roy groans, realizing his security measures have become lax. The robot begins wreaking havoc, and Arthur steps protectively in front of Mari. Roy orders Mari 2 to guard Arthur, and she immediately shifts into flight mode. Mari 2 takes to the sky, dodging attacks thrown at her. She then lands on the robot's feet and attempts to lift it off the ground. With great force, Mari 2 manages to hoist the giant robot into the air and spin it several rounds before slamming it into the ground. Roy then orders Mari to take Arthur to safety. Mari grabs Arthur's hand and pulls him along as they flee. Roy knows Prototype 26 will not be defeated easily, despite how well Mari 2 is performing. The robot recovers and manages to knock Mari 2 off balance by grazing her turbo boosters. Mari leads Arthur into a cave, while Mari 2 continues struggling against Prototype 26. Eventually, the robot blocks the cave entrance just as Mari and Arthur manage to escape through the other side of the cave. Margaret looks back and notices that their path returning to the original beach has been blocked, meaning she will be left alone with Arthur until help arrives. She then realizes that she's getting hungry. Arthur admits he's a bit hungry too, just as he hears Mari's stomach growl. As Mari struggles to come up with an explanation, Arthur casually comments on how strange Roy's taste is for giving Mari a stomach growl as a way to indicate low power. Mari is relieved that Arthur believes that excuse. She explains that she was designed that way to resemble humans. She offers to help Arthur find something to eat, but Arthur hands her some batteries he had kept with him in case she needed to recharge. Margie panics internally because she knows that even if she pretends to charge, she will still need actual food soon. Arthur reassures Mari that someone will eventually find them, and in the meantime they can enjoy being alone together. As Mari pretends to eat the battery, they spot a coconut tree. Mari climbs it and manages to harvest a coconut for Arthur, promising herself that she'll have something later. She cuts open the top so Arthur can drink and eat. Arthur then suggests they head into the forest later to look for more fruits. Marvy spots a familiar plant nearby and informs Arthur that it's edible. She walks over and picks it from the ground. A memory suddenly surfaces. When she was much younger and her family was still whole, her parents used to take their time teaching her how to live. Her father died when she was still a child in a car crash, and her mother found a new man almost instantly. After that, her mother rarely came home, so Mari learned how to survive on her own by eating all sorts of odd things and collecting rainwater since she couldn't afford anything for herself. Mari accidentally tells Arthur that she used to pick this type of grass a lot. Arthur immediately notices her wording, and Mari mentally scolds herself for forgetting she is supposed to be a robot built solely to serve Arthur with no past of her own. To amend her mistake, Mari tells Arthur she used to be a lawnmower and that data from her past model is still stored in her memory. Arthur tries to recall what he knows about Mari and realizes he has no clue about how she was developed. He decides to ask Roy later for Mari's instruction manual. Mari feels guilty because she knows she has to keep lying to Arthur in order to remain by his side. As she nears the ocean with the intention to catch fish and make fresh water, Arthur panics and reminds her that she is not allowed to get wet, insisting she doesn't need to endanger herself for his sake. He takes her hand and leads her farther away from the waves. She reassures Arthur that she will be fine, only needs to make sure the important areas won't get wet. It suddenly starts to rain, and Mari and Arthur take shelter under a small rock formation that keeps them dry. They huddle close together, and Mari becomes very aware that Arthur is shirtless. She feels like her heart might explode at any moment. Arthur suddenly hugs her and apologizes. He had hoped this vacation would be a happy one so that Mari would have happy data to save in her memory. He begins to complain about their situation, blaming himself. Marty calms him down by telling him that she is happy as long as she is by his side. Arthur smiles at her and confesses that he loves her. Marvy wants to respond, but she decides to say that she's a machine and cannot comprehend the feeling of love. She feels terrible for lying to him, and in a desperate attempt to reveal a little of her feelings, she tells him that if she were a real girl, she would surely have been in love with him. Arthur is confused by her explanation, but they find themselves lean toward each other. Before they can kiss, Mari too finds them and informs them that she is here to rescue them. She flies them back to the other side of the beach, where almost everyone is relieved to see they are safe. However, Maynard grumbles at his failed attempt to kill Arthur. He calls the robot useless, and no one decides to make fun of him by saying that the master is just as useless as the machine. As Mari too descends to the beach, Mari admits that she had wanted to stay alone with Arthur a little longer. The two of them end the day wondering how different their relationship would be if Mari were a normal girl. Today is the autumn festival, and the students are looking forward to the event because of all the activities and fireworks it includes. However, Arthur tells Mari that he will not be able to attend because he has student council work after school, even though he really wants to watch the fireworks with her. Since the incident on the island, Arthur cannot help but notice Mari more and more. Mari asks if she will at least be allowed to wait for him, and he agrees before heading off to work. Mari watches his retreating form, wishing she could watch the fireworks with him. She then notices Arthur's fan club nearby due to their unmistakable chatter about Arthur. She suddenly has the urge to be friends with them. She follows them to the courtyard where she overhears them talking about how they wish Arthur had insulted them when they were on the island with him. Mari stares at them, hoping she can watch the fireworks with them as a friend. Knowing that standing around won't accomplish anything, she runs a simulation in her head where she presents the girls with homemade cookies she made during home economics. In her mind, she smiles naturally and asks them to be her friends. The girls respond with enthusiasm and easily accept her. Feeling confident with how the plan looked in her mind, she decides to act it out. She practices what she'll say out loud to herself, not expecting Noah to answer and take the cookies for himself. He tries one of the cookies and instantly regrets it as the flavor hits his mouth, commenting that the poison is quite potent even for someone like him. He then tells Mari that she wouldn't fit in Arthur's fan club because all the members are girls from rich families. Mari pouts and says she's prepared, then switches to her ladylike mode, doing her best to act as a refined upper-class lady. She approaches the girls as they are having a picnic. They instantly recognize her as Mari but are surprised by her makeover. Mari apologizes for never introducing herself properly and claims that she is also a rich girl, with proper hobbies such as courses in piano, though she keeps it to herself as she lives them at home. Mari then notices the girls are drinking plain black tea and states that they are low in protein. She dumps a sack of protein powder into Bridget's tea as an act of kindness, but Bridget becomes irritated and calls her actions barbaric. The girls quickly guess that Mari is only faking it and push her away, deeming her unworthy of their ranks. She lands near Noah, who teases her about failing to befriend them before lunch ends. Mari stands up and says she feels inspired to try even harder to be their friend. She leaves a letter on Bridget's locker expressing her regret over what happened during lunch. She also writes how much she wants to be friends with everyone so she can enjoy the fireworks with them. She tells Noah that she asked someone for Bridget's locker number and hopes writing will get her point across more clearly. She adds that she also included a gift in the letter. Bridget spots the letter, and her friends note how pretty it looks, even commenting that it might be a love letter. Bridget gets excited, but the moment she opens it, she starts sneezing. She notices a 4-leaf clover attached to the letter and grumbles about how someone knew her allergy and sent her a trap. Mari and Noah are shocked by her oddly specific allergy. Without even reading the letter, Bridget crumples it up and throws it in the bin. She then angrily leaves the lockers. Later, as the final bell rings, the teacher refuses to let the class go because someone broke her favorite flower vase. She shows the class the vase that was hurriedly taped together and tells them someone needs to own up and clean the classroom, or else everyone will have to stay behind and miss the fireworks. The students begin to complain, and Noah decides to take the blame, but before he can raise his hand, Mari speaks up and takes responsibility. The class leaves and Noah stays behind to chat with Mari. Mari admits she didn't break the vase, but she felt the class should still be able to enjoy the fireworks. She doesn't mind staying behind if it means protecting their happiness. Noah leaves and overhears 3 of their male classmates mocking Mari for taking the blame. They laugh about getting away with it despite being the real culprits. Noah reveals himself and tells them he heard everything. The boys recognize him as the top student in class and angrily say they never liked him. One charges at Noah ready to punch him, but Noah takes it as an opportunity to hit the attacking student since he can now claim self-defense. The student begs for forgiveness, and Noah threatens them by saying he's the only one allowed to bully Mari. The culprits then begin cleaning the classroom. Afterwards, Noah brings Mari to the balcony where most of the students have gathered to watch the fireworks. He tells Mari to just make her intentions clear and gently pushes her toward the girls. Bridget notices her, and Mari removes her wig and asks if she can be their friend. Bridget denies her the pleasure, saying she finds Mari a bit weird for hovering around them the entire day. Mari feels her soul a bit crushed, but Bridget adds that she acknowledges Mari's feelings and dedication toward Arthur and considers Mari a rival. She also tells Mari that they can enjoy the fireworks together. 2 members of the fan club, who also happen to be her classmates, chime in that they know Mari is a good person and wouldn't have destroyed the vase, so they inform the teacher that she wasn't at fault. Mari feels grateful and turns to run up to Noah to thank him for all his help. Noah feels his heart flutter as Mari gets called back to join the girls. She runs back but accidentally trips. Before Noah can catch her, Arthur is already by the balcony and manages to catch Mari. He steadies her and tells her he rushed his work so he could make it in time to watch the fireworks with her. He then turns to the rest of the students and asks if he can join them. Everyone is excited, especially Bridget, who is already imagining all the mean things Arthur might say and do to her. The students all enjoy the fireworks as they light up the sky, and Mari feels comforted knowing she now has friends. Her gaze drifts to Arthur and she allows a small, rare smile to grace her lips. Noah can't help but be mesmerized as he watches her from inside. His classmates spot him and try to get his attention. He apologizes for being distracted, saying that what he was watching was simply too beautiful. He leaves, leaving the girls confused about what he meant. One evening, Roy gives Mari a news article from when she was a child. He reassures her that he disposed of everything else except that one article, so she can see and read it one last time before he throws it away. He tells her she can have the evening off to do so, since Arthur decided to take a walk and does not need her service. Mari goes toward the stack of papers by her windowsill, but instead of reading the article, she opens the window to gaze at the night sky. She truly enjoyed the fireworks and is happy that she now has other friends besides Mari too. She keeps the window open and goes to her bed. She doesn't notice one of the papers getting caught in the wind and drifting out the window. Arthur finds it as it lands on the ground. Curious, he picks it up and sees pictures of Mari when she was younger in a boxing news article. The next day, Mari pushes the tea cart to Arthur's study and she chats with Mari too about the fireworks. Arthur stares at them from the other hall. He retreats to his bedroom and continues searching the internet for a girl named Mari Evans, but he can't find anything substantial. He finds the same article he picked up, but its details and photos have clearly been tampered with. Margaret notices Arthur's strange behavior and reports it to Roy. Roy wonders if Arthur has finally caught on, but then remembers that Arthur always acts weird anyway. Mari also says that Arthur should have found out she was human a long time ago since nothing recently has happened that would give away her identity. They begin to wonder if Arthur had learned the truth earlier and just feigned ignorance, but Roy believes they are safe and have nothing to worry about. The three of them relax, confident that Arthur's dense personality will save them. However, Arthur is agonizing over the possibility that Mari is human and has been deceiving him. Since he can't find anything online, he decides he must find proof on his own. He decides to bring a knife just in case. He follows Mari around and notices some of his servants running toward her with bees chasing them. Mari swiftly catches the bees with her hands and makes sure the servants are safe. Arthur wonders if she isn't scared because she really is a robot. He watches Mari carry heavy boxes and wonders if her strength is because she's a machine. The servants compliment her, but Mari tells them she is a defective product and relies on them to do their jobs as well. Arthur feels uneasy and wonders if Mari is only programmed to be nice to him. He checks the kitchen and sees Mari and Mari too drinking oil, but in reality the oil Mari drinks is just water placed in an oil container. This is enough to convince Arthur that Mari has always been a robot, and he finally relaxes. He decides to bring her to the greenhouse and plays the piano for her. He shares that Mari is the reason he began playing the piano again. Before, he was tormented by bad memories and didn't want to touch the keys anymore, but Mari reignited his passion for playing. He smiles happily and tells Mari that since she is a robot and cannot lie to him, he has been really happy. Mari tells him that seeing him happy is the source of her own happiness. Arthur lets her words sink in and realizes that robots are not supposed to have feelings. When he looks at Mari, she is actually smiling at him, which makes him realize that he might have been blinded by her all along. He grabs her wrist and notices that he can actually feel her pulse if he concentrates. He takes out a knife, and Mari panics, but instead of stabbing her, he throws it toward an assassin who was armed with a gun. Arthur falls to his knees, overcome with emotion. He now knows for sure that Mari isn't a robot maid and realizes he truly loves her because her kindness, loyalty, and care are not the result of a program. He asks if he can hug her for a while, and she allows him. He listens closely, and now he can clearly hear Mari's heartbeat. He feels comforted knowing that all this time he has been in love with an actual girl instead of a robot. Later, Arthur follows her from a distance as Mari works. He now knows that she is human and is not out to kill him. He then hears Mari and Roy talking in the kitchen. He moves closer, and it turns out Roy has noticed that the top page of the article is missing. Roy tells Mari that if Arthur finds out she is human, he will have to send her far away. Arthur realizes that Roy is the one behind everything. He wonders what Roy meant by far away. Mari tells Roy that she is fine with the conditions. The incident with Darryl made her realize that someone like her, who has lied to Arthur, does not deserve to be by his side. She says she will immediately leave the mansion if she is found out. Roy promises not to leave her alone. He tells her that he will come clean to Arthur and admit that he was the one who hired her. He hears Mari 2's engine approaching, so he leaves. Mari 2 gives them the missing article, and they are both relieved that no one picked it up. Arthur feels relieved as well, knowing he made the decision not to retrieve the article. Since he loves Mari, he decides he will keep the fact that he knows her identity a secret so she can remain in the manor with him. After learning that Mari is actually human, Arthur searches to see if what he usually has her do counts as some sort of harassment. He gets shocked when he hears Mari greet him and suddenly appear beside him. He tries to calm down, but his heartbeat pounds wildly in his chest. He notices Roy and Mari too on his other side and forces himself to calm down so no one will find out that he actually knows Mari is human. Mari notices his odd behavior and leans in closer to check if he is still sick. Arthur suddenly stands and pretends to stretch. He knows that if he continues acting strangely, everyone will begin to suspect something. He decides that he will spend the rest of the day far away from Mari. He returns to his desk and informs Mari that he's just tired from organizing paperwork last night. Meanwhile, Mari decides that she will serve him properly today so he will no longer feel fatigued. She offers Arthur her lap to rest on, and Arthur becomes flustered. Instead of accepting like normal, he declines the offer, stating that he needs to go back to studying. Mari returns to his side with cupcakes because she thinks Arthur needs sweets. She takes a fork and offers him a bite. Arthur bolts away. He would have accepted it easily if she were a robot, but knowing that she isn't makes him think that they are a couple. He tells Mari that he'll just go get his books. He leaves the study and tells Mari that he will be studying the entire day, so she's free to do her other tasks instead of serving him. As he begins walking, Mari tells him she'll switch to cleaning mode. He sees a mop thrown toward an assassin, and Mari rushing forward to dispose of his assailant. She quickly gets rid of them, but one manages to get past the stairs. However, she still manages to knock him out. The knife the man was holding falls toward Arthur, but Mari quickly catches it and even carries Arthur. Arthur finds her cool as she announces that her cleaning is done, but he gets flustered when she offers to bring him to his room. Arthur feels his heart flutter and suddenly exclaims if Mari is trying to kill him. Mari takes it the wrong way and gently puts him back on his feet. She apologizes for scaring Arthur, believing her actions might have caused him trouble. Arthur suddenly realizes that because he has been purposely avoiding Mari, she assumed she was being a nuisance to him. He decides to tell her that anything she does for him is welcome. He decides not to study at all today and that he will do whatever Mari wants him to do. As soon as the promise leaves his mouth, he begins to get flustered. They go to the gazebo and Mari tells Arthur that she is aware that there may be days when he does not want to be served, so she promises not to do anything to him. Arthur is puzzled and asks why she brought him there. Mari states that she's fond of this gazebo because she has a good view of the manor. When she thinks of the manor, she thinks of home because he, Roy, and Mari too all reside here. Arthur feels a little proud that Mari thinks of the manor as her home. After a few days, Mari and Arthur board the car since Arthur needs to inspect the new amusement park. Mari too also follows behind them as they can see the park just off to the side. At the park, several people are already enjoying all sorts of attractions and rides. When they arrive, Carl immediately goes to greet them and tells them that they are free to enjoy the park, and he hopes to hear their opinions about it later. Charlotte joins her husband to greet them. Isabel also happens to be there and introduces herself as Arthur's fiancée. Mari is shocked. She remembers Isabel from the island but had no idea she was Arthur's fiancée. Arthur scolds her for spreading a lie and corrects her by saying the one she is engaged to is actually Maynard. However, Isabel refuses to acknowledge it, stating that Arthur would make a better husband. Arthur returns to Mari's side and explains that Isabel isn't his fiancée. Isabel suddenly steps forward to inspect Mari, but Roy reassures her that Mari is actually a product of their company, a robot maid. However, Isabel still feels threatened by her and angrily stares at Mari. She keeps staring as Mari blankly stares back. After some time, Isabel declares that Mari is actually a human and that Mari is deceiving Arthur. Arthur calmly tells Isabel that it's not possible, but inwardly he is fuming because Isabel is ruining his precious time with Mari. There are Halloween rental costumes by the entrance, and Mari and Isabel quickly change into their new outfits. When he goes through the entrance gate, he begins to worry that the metal detector won't react when she passes through, but to his surprise, it does as Mari and Mari too enter. Isabel marvels at how huge the park is. She then tells Mari that since she is a robot, she should make a map of the entire place so they know where to go. As Isabel begins to throw a tantrum, Mari spots a map of the theme park conveniently sliding near her. She opens it and feels lucky to have found it. She doesn't know that Arthur had procured the map and slid it near her so it would appear like she was the one who produced it. As they head toward the direction of the roller coaster, Mari too begins entertaining some kids. Arthur tells Roy to have her continue playing with them. Isabel sees the roller coaster and notes that the line is very long. Regardless, she cuts right in front and tells Arthur to hurry. The three of them ride on the roller coaster, the spinning cups, and the drop tower. Meanwhile, Mari too is busy entertaining the kids. Carl comments that once they buy Destiny Park, they want to mass-produce Mari too and make her a main attraction. Carl asks if Roy has something that can make multiple kids happy all at once. Roy admits that he does, and suddenly Prototype 26 emerges from the bushes and carries several kids with a ride cart. Charlotte compliments Roy for quickly thinking of sending robots to entertain guests. As Marvy too flies around welcoming guests, a couple sees her and runs toward her. Charlotte complains that Arthur only spends time with Mari. Arthur glances at Mari and wonders if she's tired. As Charlotte begins to complain and wants to start playing again, Arthur scolds her, saying that Mari needs to recharge. This does little to calm her, so he explains that he is also tired and wants to rest. Charlotte still complains that Arthur is too young to be tired. She then spots the mascot Nyantaro and rushes toward it because she wants to take a photo. Arthur notices this is his chance to be alone with Mari. He kneels down in front of her, asking if she's alright, and Mari says that she's while pretending to charge. Arthur wonders how he can get her to drink something and decides that he can leave his drink beside her so she can drink it without him seeing her. He tells Mari that he needs to go to the restroom and puts the cup beside her on the bench. He asks if she could throw the cup away. When he leaves, Mari slowly gets his drink. She starts sipping it, feeling relieved that she can finally drink. She wonders to herself if this counts as an indirect kiss. She's so distracted that she doesn't notice Isabel has returned. Isabel accuses her of drinking from Arthur's cup, causing Mari to drop the drink on the ground. Isabel tells Mari that she can keep it a secret as long as Mari agrees to help her get together with Arthur. Arthur returns moments later and is shocked to see Marvy standing next to Isabel. Suddenly, Marvy grabs his hand and coaxes him to follow her. Marvy suddenly announces that she will escort him to the place where he can be lovey-dovey with Isabel. Arthur is confused as he has to follow along to all the places Isabel wants to go, while Mari encourages the relationship from a distance. Arthur pales as he wonders what happened to cause Mari to suddenly want him together with Isabel. He tries to glance at her face, but Mari has a natural poker face, so it doesn't show what she's thinking. Mari doesn't let it show, but she has come to the realization that someone young and full of energy like Isabel is much more suited for Arthur than her. She is aware that she is very different from Arthur. She knows that the best thing to do is let go of her love for Arthur, but it has been difficult because Arthur has been so kind to her. She shakes her head to refocus on the task ahead. She reminds herself that right now she needs to support Isabel's love for Arthur. Suddenly, Isabel runs past her and exclaims that she now hates Arthur. Mari is confused as Arthur slowly returns to her side. He explains that he's been holding back since his aunt and uncle are always nice to him. But this time he had coldly told Isabel that he actually considers her a spoiled brat. Marvy looks at Isabel's retreating form and runs after her, leaving Arthur confused. Isabel runs through a restricted area and into the forest. She trips, but luckily Mari catches her before she can fall off the cliff. Isabel thanks her, then tells her that she's considering giving up on loving Arthur. Marvy gently takes both her hands and tells Isabel that it's too early to give up. Mari says Isabel can offer a lot to Arthur and does not need to resort to deceiving him. She says Isabel should think about giving up only after having done everything she could. Isabel smiles at her words and tells Mari that she is very kind and didn't have to concern herself with her. When Mari suggests they go back, the ground beneath them gives way, causing both of them to fall off the cliff. Arthur runs toward the direction they were at, having witnessed them suddenly fall. He checks the edge, hoping they somehow made it. Luckily, Mari too had managed to catch them. They return to more stable ground, and Mari encourages Isabel to apologize to Arthur. However, Arthur doesn't let her speak, instead accusing her of never having feelings for him. He tells her that the one she truly loves is Maynard. He claims that he had found it odd when Isabel suddenly confessed her feelings to Arthur instead of Maynard when she had never even spoken to Arthur prior to the confession. Arthur demands that she tell the truth. Isabel backs up and tells them that the accusations are true. She tells them that when she was younger, she hated being scolded for not being ladylike. She liked climbing trees but was discouraged from it. She had met Maynard as she was climbing a tree, and instead of judging her, he had suggested they climb an even bigger tree. After that, Arthur soon came into the picture, and Maynard began to act differently. Maynard became obsessed with getting rid of Arthur that he stopped paying attention to her. She admits that she had approached Arthur so Maynard would notice her again. Once he notices her again, she's going to confess that Maynard will always be the one she truly loves. Meanwhile, Maynard sneezes as he plays cards with Noah. Noah ends up winning the game, and Maynard complains that all of his subordinates are lying to him. He mentions a gunman had reportedly killed Arthur, which caused him so much joy until he learned that Arthur was still very much alive. Back with Isabel, Arthur apologizes for his involvement, admitting that if he had never shown up, things might have been different. Isabel apologizes for everything, and they return to the park. Marvy worries about Isabel knowing her secret, but Isabel tells her that she shouldn't drink someone else's drink since it is a crime. Marvy too then gives her a ride in the sky, and Arthur comments that Isabel is still a child even if she tries to present herself as an adult. Later that evening, as Marvy showers, Arthur suddenly enters the bathroom and sees her. Marvy was not expecting Arthur to enter the bathroom in the middle of her bath. She tries to explain that the staff bathroom was not possible for her, but quickly realizes that her cover is completely blown since robots aren't even supposed to take baths in the first place. Arthur apologizes and tries to give Mari her privacy, but ends up slipping. Before he lands on the ground, Mari is able to break his fall, but this only leads them into a compromising position. They then hear the bathroom door open and the janitor walks in, rapping as he begins cleaning up. He doesn't notice them, but sees that the lights were left on in the bathtub area, so he switches them off. Mari and Arthur sigh in relief at not being caught, but then the janitor locks them in when he leaves. They immediately panic and start banging on the door in hopes that he will come back and open it, but the janitor is too focused on going home and is rapt to hear anything else. Mari realizes that this is a bad predicament. She considers breaking the door down, but decides it's a bad idea because Roy will surely be mad at her. Arthur reassures her that it'll be fine because someone will surely start patrolling by morning. This makes both Mari and Arthur think about the possibilities that could happen since they will be stuck in the same area for the whole evening. Arthur is the first to snap out his daze. He picks up Mari and brings her to the warm bathtub. After setting her in the warm water, he tells her to stay there so she won't get cold. He promises to stay by the bathtub and face away from her so she won't have to worry about him peeking. Mari is touched by his kindness but insists that he should be the one in the bathtub because he is far more important than her. However, Arthur remains stubborn and says that Mari is a human, a girl, and an important person, so she needs to stay warm. Mari lets his words sink in and realizes that Arthur had mentioned she was human. She wonders if this means that her cover is truly blown, because it wouldn't make sense for Arthur to help keep her warm if he thought she was still a robot. Though her face remains stoic, she is inwardly panicking over the entire situation. Meanwhile, Arthur is lost in his own thoughts. A part of him is happy with the situation, but he worries that they haven't gone through the proper steps. He assumed he would have needed to confess first and eventually get engaged before anything this intimate and personal would happen. However, he is also grateful that they had skipped ahead, and he feels guilty for being grateful for the incident. Mari begins to speak up and wants to ask Arthur when he learns she was human, but she has trouble finishing her sentence. So Arthur assumes she is asking about when he realized he liked her. He looks into Mari's eyes, and to him they look very sincere, even though they are actually laced with worry. He tells her that it started when Mari helped him solve a problem. He pinpoints it to the school festival fireworks show. Mari realizes it is also the same night she lost the news article, meaning Arthur had probably found it. She suddenly asks if Arthur had seen it, not really explaining what she is referring to, so Arthur assumes she meant whether he had seen her in a shower. Arthur denies it, but Mari calls him a liar. She urges him to tell the truth, and he admits that he saw a little bit. Mari feels her spirit break as Arthur pats himself on the back for being honest. Nervously, Mari asks what Arthur thinks of her. Arthur notices something is off with her tone. When he takes a closer look at her, he notices that her hands are shaking. He wonders if Mari is nervous about him seeing her like this. He tells her that he has always found her wonderful and cute and pats her head affectionately. However, Mari doesn't think she is wonderful at all. In her mind, she has done the worst act toward Arthur, which is to lie to and deceive him. She knows her actions are essentially similar to Daryl's. She feels fortunate to be under Arthur's care and kindness, so she feels extremely guilty for lying to him. She suddenly stands up from the tub and tells Arthur that she needs to confess something. Arthur thinks that Mari is about to confess her love to him, since they have been talking about their feelings the entire time. Mari decides it is time to tell Arthur the truth, even if he ends up hating her. Arthur notices that her expression seems serious and suddenly feels the urge to confess to her first. Meanwhile, Mari carefully thinks about how to admit that she has been lying to him. Just as both of them decide to speak, Arthur suddenly feels pain and faints. Mari too's voice can be heard as she tells Roy that she has detected Arthur in the bathroom. When they open the door, they are surprised to see Mari and Arthur. They panic because Arthur has passed out. After some time, the doctor reassures them that Arthur is fine and that his body is currently fighting off some toxins. Roy suddenly recalls that he had noticed something attached to Arthur's clothes not too long ago. The doctor says that because Arthur's body is resistant to poison, it took time for the poison to take effect. Roy blames himself for not investigating it further. The doctor then reveals that they currently do not have an antidote for the toxin, which makes Mari worry about Arthur. Arthur suddenly stirs from his slumber, and Mari too announces that his heartbeat is back to normal. Arthur wakes up and is confused to see everyone in his room. Mari moves closer and apologizes for failing to protect him. Arthur stares at her in confusion, not recognizing her. Roy tries to explain that she is the robot maid they developed, which makes Arthur smile as he recalls that his company was working on one. He is pleased that one is finally complete and tells Mari that it is great to finally meet her. Maynard watches from afar and thinks that Arthur has lost all of his memories. However, one of his assassins informs him that Arthur has only forgotten about Mari. Maynard becomes frustrated, as it defeats the purpose of erasing his memory. Noah overhears the conversation and wonders about Mari. Meanwhile, the assassin reassures Maynard that they are still searching for an opening to assassinate Arthur. When the spy puts down the phone, Mari too appears and knocks him out. Meanwhile, Roy and Marvi speak about the situation. It appears that Arthur has only forgotten his memories involving Marvi. The doctor had told Roy that this was Arthur's reaction to the shock from the toxin. Roy tells Marvi that if they can obtain an antidote, there is a good chance they can recover Arthur's lost memories. Suddenly, Marvi too and some members of the security team enter and announce that they have caught the person who poisoned Arthur. Roy demands that the assassin hand over the antidote, but the assassin tells him that Maynard only gave him the blowgun. They carry the assassin away, and Marvi wonders if all chances of regaining Arthur's memories are lost forever. She comes clean to Roy and tells him that Arthur already knows she is human. Roy is shocked, and Marvi explains what happened in the bathroom. Roy thinks it over and tells Marvi that it might be a good thing that Arthur has lost his memory. He tells Marvi that she should do her best to avoid anything that might cause Arthur to remember her. Marvi is confused as to why, and Roy reminds her that both of them will have to leave if Arthur finds out that she is human. Roy grasps her shoulders and tells Marvi that as long as Arthur does not remember her, she can remain by Arthur's side forever. After their talk, Arthur inspects Marvi, amazed that his company has actually finished a robot maid that looks human. He calls her cute and gushes over her as she pretends to charge. He even lies on her lap. Marvi begins to think that she is okay with how things are because Arthur is still very kind and affectionate toward her. Arthur suddenly receives a call from Toby, which puzzles him. When he answers, he is met with a video message of Toby and his clubmates voicing their concern over the recent assassination attempt. Even his fan club is present wishing him good health. Toby tells him that once he gets better, he can visit them and play with the club's chickens. Toby is about to send his regards to Mari, but Arthur cuts the video call short. He's confused by how familiar they are acting and assumes that Toby and the others are only being friendly so they can use him later. Marv is shocked by Arthur's cold and distant behavior. It hits her that Arthur had only grown close to those people when she was involved in his life. She observes his features and notices that Arthur looks a little lonely. Arthur looks at her and asks why his schoolmates seem to know her, and remembering Roy's warning, Mari tells him that she has no idea. Arthur then pulls a bookmark from his pocket, and Marvi recognizes the four-leaf clover on it as the one she gave him during their date. Arthur admits that he always carries it with him. He is not sure whether the bookmark itself is important or if the person who gave it to him was important, since he does not remember how he got it. He muses that he would have been happy if it were from Mari, but since they have just met, it would be impossible. He knows the bookmark is precious because he feels warm every time he holds it close. Marvi realizes that Arthur has truly changed over time. When they first met, he had been very lonely, but the longer she stayed by his side, the more he gradually transformed into someone kinder and warmer. Marvi slaps her face, feeling idiotic and selfish for not wanting Arthur to remember her. She realizes now that she needs to get those memories back. Tears well up in her eyes, and Arthur notices. He questions her, but Mari doesn't answer. Instead, she grabs his hand and runs off with him, determined never to lie to Arthur again. Marvi brings Arthur to a pond and tells him that he had actually saved her here once. Arthur is confused, so Mari explains that they go to the same school and that she had been serving him as a robot maid for 6 months. They head to the field, and Mari asks if he remembers defeating Daryl, but Arthur shakes his head. Marvi brings him to one of the balconies, and Arthur learns that he had watched the fireworks here with all of his friends and Mari. Marvi tries to jog his memory, having already made peace with the fact that she will have to leave if he remembers. But she wants to be sure that Arthur has friends by his side. They go to the park, and Marvi searches the ground for a four-leaf clover. Arthur questions if the park has anything to do with his memory, and Marvi tells him that the four-leaf clover he has was picked here. Arthur asks if she was the one who gave it to him. Marvi finds a four-leaf clover and holds it out in front of her. She admits that it was her and tries to mimic how she had presented it to him back then. When she asks if he remembers, he shakes his head again. Marvi feels disappointed, but Arthur reassures her that he is fine, even if he doesn't regain his memories as long as Marvi stays by his side. Marvi tells him that he deserves to have those memories back because they are precious. She vows to do everything she can to retrieve them. At the end of the day, Marvi tells Roy and Marvi too that she is done working for the day. They bid her good night, and as soon as Marvi closes the door, she dashes off somewhere, determined to obtain the antidote. Marvi too begins charging, but stops when she notices a note on the ground. Roy sees Marvi leave the manor and hopes that she is not planning anything reckless. Maynard assembles his assassins so they can learn their new assignments. He does not realize that Marvi is among them, disguised as a new member. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss new episodes every week.